And so here we are. I think I'm ready. Honestly, I didn't have much to say, and I do have a lot to do before the show. So thank you for being here. Thank you for calling. Thank you for participating. Thank you for being nice to everybody else. And that's it. See you in the pit. And here we are, back again, Mallory.
Here we
We're
are, back again.
Yes.
Back again.
Here we are.
Here we are. Here
Here
we
we
are.
are.
Yes,
We are
here we are. Here we are.
There it is. There it is.
Well, it's just really good to be back after last weekend off. Have you been up to anything exciting this week?
I'm in Mexico right now.
Well, that seems very
So
exciting.
that's pretty exciting.
I've been thinking about what country I was going to run to. How's Mexico?
I mean, it feels great, but I'm Canadian, so I think I might be a little more welcome here than.
Right. All right. Yeah.
But hey, Canada, Mexico, up or down.
Yeah. Well, anyway, if you're American or non-American, welcome to the show. This is where you've landed. We're very happy to have you. This is Midnight Across America, and we're a call-in talk show. And so that means that it's very important that you call in and talk to us. And our phone number... No, Chris.
There it is.
It is 712-345-6648. If you're calling from outside of the United States or from a payphone, I'm still waiting for a payphone call. Please call 1-866-345-6648. Again, if you're near a payphone, just call us and let us know that there's a payphone nearby.
Yeah.
I got a thing for them. I once lived, Mallory, by a place that had it was a phone booth, but instead of a phone being in there, it just had a little drawer that bounced out, and it had a little place that you could kneel, and it was a prayer booth.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, not really my thing, but kind of a beautiful thing.
I love the repurposing of a phone booth that way.
Oh, I think it was designed that way. No, I think it was
Okay.
designed that way. I think it was from phone booth times, and it was so deceiving. Honestly, the prayer hands in white. It's from afar. Let's say you were in the rain, right, and you were running to a payphone, you would certainly run towards that and hop in, and then, alas, there is no phone.
But you could pray.
Only a direct line to God.
Yeah.
And well, anyway, call us. We have a very exciting show today, and like the stuff that we have in store today, our music, our friends, and certainly our special guest that we're going to get to right away, Mallory.
I'm so excited.
Yeah. Michael Lucid, welcome to the show.
Me. I'm so
happy.
Thank
you so much. Thank you so much for being here. Now, of course, I know, and I'm sure our audience, but in case anybody out there doesn't know, you are the director of the cult classic documentary Dirty Girls.
Yes. This was my documentary I filmed in high school. I filmed the footage in 1996 as a high school senior, and then the version that's now the completed documentary I finished in the year 2000 in college, and I showed it in some film festivals in 2000, and then put it away for 13 years. It was just on a VHS tape in a box, and then in 2013, a friend of mine, or he became my friend. He reached out. His name is Bradford Nordine, and he ran runs a festival called Dirty Looks. Now it's in LA. It started in New York, and he, yeah, if you might know him, he reached out to me.
I don't, but I find it so interesting because I thought I was late to the game, but I think that I discovered it right around. Like please finish the story. I'm actually like so excited about this.
Oh, I love that you might have seen it like very soon after I first uploaded
I
it.
I think so.
That's so funny.
Yeah, it was even in my 2013 algorithm to be a sad girl. Like honestly,
amazing. Yeah, right from the beginning of its online life.
Yeah. So I'm sorry. So you showed it at a film festival.
Oh yes. Back in 2000, it was in the New York Underground Film Festival. It was in it did some like LGBT festivals, like the Mix Festival and Outfest in LA and Frameline in San Francisco. And then I was like, okay, that's all, and just like put it away. I was like, that, all done with that. And maybe once in a while I would like bring out the tape and show some friends, like, oh, I made this documentary in 2000, like check this out, and I just show people. And then and then in 2013, when I Bradford Nordine found a mention of Dirty Girls in an old film festival program for the Mix Festival from back in 2000, and he reached out to me. He contacted me on social media and said, can you upload this to YouTube just because I want to see it? And that'd be the easiest way for me to see the footage if you can just upload it. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I can digitize the VHS. And so I did all that, uploaded it, and full disclosure, I did have an inkling of an idea. I was like, this could catch on. So I did, full disclosure, I put it on Tumblr. And that was the height of Tumblr.
Oh my God, I miss Tumblr so much.
Right? Oh my gosh.
Of course, this is perfect for Tumblr.
It's such a culture center. Tumblr was really. Yeah. Okay, cool. Totally. Very, very cool. Okay, so then it goes on Tumblr.
And I did like hashtag grunge, hashtag 90s, hashtag riot girl. And it literally within a week, it suddenly like blew up, and it was from Tumblr.
Of course.
Yeah.
What a beautiful origin story.
Totally. It totally was like a beautiful joining of the YouTube and Tumblr and Dirty Looks Film Festival, and it all just came together to bring.
And so then just recently I saw that it has acquired 5 million views, right? Am I correct? 5 million views on YouTube, which is just incredible. And I mean, so far reaching, and it doesn't surprise me at all, because very personally to me, when I watched this documentary for the first time, and I must have found, it must have been one of the first YouTube videos that I was like, what the fuck, whenever I found it on there. And I watched it several times, and it was like watching me and my friends. It is such a perfect capsule of a moment in time. And I was in Gladstone, Missouri, nowhere near. And this was in Santa Monica, right? You said?
Yes. Yep. Right. Santa Monica.
So like, how interesting to begin with that these identifying features pre-internet were just somehow they grew at the same time, like this emergent fashion style and attitude and making zines. And well, you were on the ground and you were actually in high school. Yeah. What was the temperature? How did it feel there?
Hear why you had the idea to film these girls at your school, like what it was like, what it felt like. Would love to hear the conceit of all of this.
Yeah, it's such a funny kind of origin story for that. The reason why I filmed it, because I was a high school senior in 1996, and at the school Crossroads, which is in Santa Monica, California, and it's kind of notorious because it's known for being kind of this wealthy, artsy private school. that's built in an alleyway. So it looks very like like to look at it, at least back then, to look at it, it just looked like an industrial alley. Like it used to be like factories or something or warehouses. And they turned it into this like very fancy art high school. And it was known for having lots of celebrities and lots of decadence. There was exposés. I think it was Vanity Fair when I was still there. It wrote this expose about the outrageous. Yeah, it's so crazy.
What?
Totally. It had this.
You were destined to be a star, baby. Come on. Vanity Fair High School.
Well,
God, I want to read that. I want to read that fan magazine.
Oh, I need to track that article.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so then it was an exceptional place, and even still, honestly, that surprises me even more, because you think that in an exceptional environment like that, I would have thought as a kid, I was dreaming as a kid, out in LA, out in New York, I would find my people. They would understand me. I wouldn't want to, whatever. Not true. Same shit. Same
shit.
Isn't that funny?
Everywhere.
Isn't that funny? How about this? Michael, if you don't mind, just so that we can catch our viewers up and give everybody a little bit of time to call us. 712-345-6648. Please give us a call. We've got a guest here and we want to entertain them. No, please. We want to catch them up. We're going to show them a little trailer of the movie, if you don't mind. And we'll come back and talk a little bit more and maybe get to some calls.
Nice.
Great.
Chris.
Chris?
They don't shower.
Yeah, they're trying to be rebels, dressing like guys, having dirty hair. Shoot, I want a dirty lifesaver. Go with my reputation. What?
Don't like. It's not like you can't notice them. I mean, it's just unacceptable. They look like trash. They're wearing garbage. They wear this hideous makeup all over their face. They extend to the greatest limits of insanity and hideosity, and I just don't understand why that's something that they strive for.
I went to camp, and the first day I was at camp, everyone said, I didn't even know these people, and the first day they were like, that's the girl who didn't take a shower since Kurt Cobain died.
It's an example to me of dime store feminism.
Dirty girls wear clothes that closely resemble the likes of a clown. That's the easiest thing to do, to rebel.
You all will see there just isn't a place here for me. Look around and feel like somebody must be fucking with me.
I said I think it's brilliant.
Seriously, and I can't keep keeping myself company.
And we're back at Midnight Across America with Michael Lucid, the director of Dirty Girls. You just got a little teaser trailer of that. And Michael, I really want to get back into the details of, like, you were a senior. How did you come up with the idea? How did you meet these girls? What were the relationships like? I also want to include myself in this little, because I went to a private school growing up as well. And I think for me, that makes what they were doing radical in a very specific way, So I want that perspective to be included in this too. So yeah, let's get back to sort of like how old are you? 17, 18?
Yeah, and I think by the time I filmed, I had just turned 18. Like I was just 18 in March of that year, and
wow.
Yeah.
So you were 18 and these girls were like what, 15, 16, right? They're freshmen in high school.
younger even.
Younger,
That's
like
the other
13
thing.
or 14.
What? 13, 14?
Even 12, I think some of them. Like,
oh my God. I love them so much. Okay. So
ahead of their time.
Right?
I'm going to take a breath.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Take a breath.
Take a breath, Craig.
So
we're very excited over here. We're very, very excited.
So I remember these days so dearly. And I also remember being very young and precocious in those ways, right? Like, you don't get it, man. And honestly, they're saying some shit in there that if you listen to it with today's ears, it is I mean, it holds up, and they are the zeitgeist today, right? They were back then. And I'm very familiar with feeling that way and wanting to shove it down people's throats, and also being disregarded by exactly the people that you thought would be impressed by it. That's something, because you see some of these hip kids in this doc that are older than them, obviously, and they're like, oh, dollar store feminism, they don't get it, like this is so trite. And it's like, well, what are you doing, lady? What are you doing? I don't know. So like, you were there. What was the temperature like? Like was it very, very catty? Was it? Paint me a picture, please.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Well, and the irony is that so many of the kind of the detractors of the Dirty Girls were my friends. These were my friends. And the thing, I think that's why I feel so comfortable. I had this access as a documentary filmmaker, who I just had become through making this. I had like the best unlimited access to everyone because they were friends of mine. So they totally felt at ease. It's like, sorry guys, I'll apologize to them now. Sorry and thank you. Sorry and thank you so much, because their honesty, is what makes what they said so dramatically impactful,
Totally. You got like real honesty. I mean, from everybody, from the Dirty Girls and from everybody talking about them. I think that's the thing in that trailer, that it's mostly cuts of like how people were talking about them. And like that, I think it just like says so much of like how much people were thinking about them and assuming about them and stuff. And yeah,
I remember there was a girl in my clique who was very, very cool, but she was really into Ani DeFranco, and I was really not into Ani DeFranco. Like, that was not my thing, right? And so I was very condescending to a lot of like the zines that came by, and the reason why I'm projecting that, and I apologize, you know who you are if you ever listen. I just apologized for shitting on DeFranco in high school. Oh, whoa, the world has come full circle.
I think it's nice.
Yeah, it is. You know who you are. We eat our own. I also remember like going to punk clubs and like the punk kids being like, "Where are your patches?" And them being like, "You're not a real punk." And I was like, "Fuck you, I'm Minutemen punk." The Minutemen fans will get it.
Yeah.
Anyway. So like, what did you see them hate on other people in a similar type of way, or was it just directed at these precocious youths with attitudes?
That's interesting. Yeah, I feel like the interesting thing, it's almost like everyone at the school was united in making fun of the Dirty Girls. It was like that was the unifying. And the funny thing was that and they really were, these Dirty Girls really were truly the talk of the campus. Everyone was talking about them. It was like the gossip. It was like the hot campus gossip. Literally, that was, at lunch or, during, the morning snack break, people were talking about it. And I think it's so ironic because a lot of the fashions of a lot of the older kids were wearing didn't look so different from the Dirty Girls.
Right?
Sometimes identical.
I was thinking that. I mean, anytime I watch it, it's so interesting to see the ways they still like separate themselves. You know, when I'm like, oh, you all are kind of like dressing the same. That was like the fashion of the time, you know. But I think for me, then it's like, is it really what the intention of the fashion was, you know, for the dirty girls? Because I'm
it was anti-fashion.
Well, exactly. Exactly. And I'm remembering the moment with I think it's Harper her friends are talking about like, oh, if you'd seen her a few years ago, how she used to dress, you know, that like, I imagine that it was, you know, their peers seeing them change and like actively, you know, move and dress against, you know, how they were expected to. And that I feel like that could be where some attention would come from, you know, is like that they went from sort of like participating in this, like they were talking about like wearing polos and, you know, this sort of this style, and then distinctly not doing that.
Yeah, that's so true. I love that. That's so true. I think that people were, observing that transformation, and people were sort of fascinated by that. And I think the other thing was that these younger girls were, while all the older kids were also wearing like vintage clothes and secondhand clothes, you know, secondhand store clothes and things, which is what the dirty girls were wearing. And that was the fashion of the time. It was all about vintage, you know, in the early mid to late 90s. I think also the dirty girls had this kind of ethos or this philosophy, and the fact that they were so precocious at such a young age and so much younger than everyone else. I think there was sort of this sense of like, who do they think they are? They're in 8th grade. Like they don't know what they're talking about, you know, how could they? And so I think that was sort of a big part of the reaction, that negative kind of backlash they were experiencing from the kids in my year. And
I think something that, you know, there, you know, there's a scene with, I think it's Amber and Harper, and they're talking about, you know, how people say that they're too young to understand. And they're like, excuse me, you can be any age and understand that women are being raped. Like, I was sexually abused, you know, like they're saying these things out loud so clearly, so succinctly. And of course that will garner a lot of attention. I think something that's so painful for me is to see like all of the other girls, you know, like shitting on them, when I'm sure that they are all thinking like, oh, I've been through that. Maybe I wish I could like be that free, you know, and like, you know, it's when you're that age, it's like you're like so beholden to so many expectations, especially imagine going to a private school in LA, you know, that I think that's what made them so radical was moving against that and saying these things out loud that I think take a lot of people a lot of years of work to speak the truth of, you know?
Totally. Yeah, it's so true that they actually had it wasn't just fashion for them. There actually was a thought process. Yeah. Especially with the zines and then and the other thing, it's kind of interesting, and maybe in all fairness to the detractors of the Dirty Girls, I think they were also brilliant pranksters, the Dirty Girls. You know, you know, totally
amazing.
Yes, and there were a few infamous days on campus that they sort of allude to in the documentary, and I think the timeline and the specifics don't quite get explained in the doc, but there was a day they did come to school, or I guess it is mentioned quickly in the documentary that one day they had put whipped cream in their hair and it dried in their hair and it did smell really bad. And so that that was like part of their merry prankster mischievous nature that was, you know, the humor. I think the sense of humor the Dirty Girls had was lost on all the kids, you know.
Exceptional senses of humor, exceptional.
I identify with it. I feel like it was exactly right there, the exact same type of humor where there was there was definitely they were definitely shopping at vintage, right? And probably at the same store, right? But there was a different look. There was singles grunge, you know? Yeah. There was singles like the movie, right? Singles grunge, like these college berets, halter tops, party girl, which is chic, which is sick. But then there was anti-fashion, which was like the right size t-shirt, the right hang of pants, and the right knit of sweater that it will decay as you sleep, shower, and ride your bike in it for the next 4 years. These were all like mandatory choices. That freshman cardigan was going to be your senior cardigan, and it was going to be damaged in the perfect way. So it was intentional, but I feel like I know that because I was there, and like those were exactly the choices I make, which again was another phenomenon. We weren't calling people in LA. How was it that bullies were calling us dirties, and they were also calling them dirties in Santa Monica? What a shitty, first of all, what a shitty like name to just put on a group, like not even creative.
Yeah.
And we weren't dirty. We had that argument all the time. I'm clean. I bathe all the time. I just look like shit. Fuck you.
Totally.
That was kind of it.
Yeah, and that's so true. And I think, and totally the same for the dirty girls, that I would say 99% of the time they bathed. And there were just those, of course. And then there were those infamous days when they were like, basically, it was almost like the absurdists or something in Paris from previous eras, like, just staging a public prank, if you will, like a performance piece almost. Like they mentioned in the documentary that there was people would kind of on campus remember these infamous pranks, like the day when the dirty girls came to school with lipstick all over their faces, and that was fully intentional by them. First of all, kind of a riot girl political statement. Second of all, to amuse themselves and to cause a stir. And they I mean, that's so punk rock, and they were in middle school. And
we did the exact same type of thing. We passed out condoms outside of the Sadie Hawkins Day dance. We gifted the prom king like bull's brain. And yeah, it was very nonsensical stuff, but we felt very punk about it. And it was absurdist. It felt very much like we don't care enough to like hurt your feelings or put you in your place. You're too stupid. But we want to like laugh at you and do something so obscene that like you're like, what? Oh, dude, bro, it's cool. You're cool. We definitely had those friends, like I had a bunch of like senior jocks that were like tapping me in the balls, as I walked up the stairs at school. And I'm like, I'm not really one of you, and I don't know what got me the pass, but I openly am loudly making fun of you, and you think that we're buddies, Does that ring a bell? That type of dynamic? Yeah.
Oh, it's very that it's like the irony, the levels of irony getting completely missed, and like,
yeah.
And I think, and instead of people seeing that the dirty girls were trying to do something, and make a statement like that, it just sort of solidified into the rumor. The dirty girls don't bathe, and they don't bathe, and they put lipstick on their faces. So the takeaways were just the bullet notes, or the bullet points of these pranks they were pulling, and that became it got mythologized as like, oh, that's who they are, as opposed to, oh, they're actually riot girls who are doing these specific performances on campus.
Yeah,
sick.
It is so sick. And I think that's why like it's so cool that this is having a bit of a resurgence, and that like for me it feels like I think the first time I saw it was like a few years ago. It felt like retroactively healing for me, given that I went to a very small private school. Like the like weird kids there were not even close to like I didn't have access to any counterculture shit until I grew up and moved away. And I think that's what feels so radical about this. And I imagine, I wish, like, I want to ask you this after this, like, if you're still in connection with any of these other friends, you know, who like go back and watch it, because to me, watching like the Dirty Girls, so that other people called them that, you know, like they were doing them and other people gave them that I'm going to keep coming back to this, like that it's a private school and that is like these teenagers and kids using the language of like classism and like hierarchy in that way as a way of like ostracizing these girls that are doing something very radical. Like they weren't actually dirty, but when you are in like white, wealthy circles, that's like the worst thing you can be called, you know, that like being dirty, unkempt, you know, is like the most blasphemous thing you can do in those circles. So that's why what they did was radical as fuck. And of course, the teenagers and kids there are using the language, I imagine, of that they're hearing from their parents, you know, probably their parents who might use that against like immigrants or people of color, or like poor, you know, like it all feels like a part of that, like, you know,
that is
white rich structure. You know,
absolutely. You are so right. You are so fucking right. It declassifies it. No matter who your father was, you look like scumbag, and we know what scumbags are. They're not from this neighborhood. Why you let your kid look like that?
Exactly.
My parents got that shit all the time. You know, I like, it's so funny. I remember being kicked out of somebody's house that I came over to dinner because I had fingernail polish on. Times have changed, but also like yeah, but also not right. Yeah. Jesus Christ.
I know.
Well,
really. And that's so interesting too, is the way times haven't changed. And I think that's so interesting, and why people are still connecting with it now, because it's kind of unfortunate that times have not changed. But it's like, oh no, these, you know, what was happening in 1996 is still timely today.
So
oh my God.
relevant.
Wait, I just got very optimistic. Does that mean that the Riot Girls are going to save the day again?
Yes.
I think so.
Crossing my fingers.
I think that the Riot Girls win. I always knew it. Burn all the prisons and let the prostitutes take over. Chris, please let me. I think now is a great time to introduce a music video from one of our featured musical performers tonight. He's a very dear friend of mine, and just like really one of the maximum artists and voices of our time right now, really, in my opinion. And incidentally, I think that we have our special guest has a friendship and an adoration with Colin as well. And so it's just perfect timing that their album was just released on Revenge Records, I think yesterday. Their new record, Respite and Levity for the Nameless Ghost in Crisis. And what a beautiful name too. And I am so happy for everybody here to hear this. It's exactly, I think, what you guys want to hear. So this is the first video that we're going to play from his new record. And it's called Respite, the Tulpamancer.
Guide me How's it going? I'm Michael, and I'm proud to be a homosexual. But I gotta admit, there are those times when I become straight for a minute. When a tough dude makes me feel physically threatened. Are you a fag? I'm gonna beat you up. Hey man, back off. I'm into chicks. I become straight for a minute. When an old person or a child asks me with sweet naivete,
Are you gonna get married to a lady?
Sure I am. I become straight for a minute. When a shy, clueless girl takes a fancy to me.
You look nice today.
You too. I become straight for a minute. I'm proud to be queer in this day and age, but on occasion I must confess, I put on my facade and I become straight for a minute.
Straight for a minute. I don't think I did it right, but I
love
love that dance so much. Oh my gosh.
Thank
Okay,
you.
we're back with Michael Lucid. We've been talking about Dirty Girls that he directed, and also that was a little short that he was in and created as well. Michael, I would love to hear more about that.
Oh, totally. Oh, I'm so glad you enjoy that. Yeah, straight for a minute. Being a gay man, I have experienced.
Wait, you're
all of these
gay?
things. Surprise! I know. I'm very incognito.
Yeah. It's all right.
much
I thought
so.
my roommate was 40 and she ended up being 26.
Oh, see, exactly. There's,
It's crazy out there.
surprises with people.
I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, no.
I took the
Yeah,
low
and
hanging fruit. It's not like me, actually. This is terrible.
Yes.
Yes, please. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, no. And it all kind of in a funny way ties back to Dirty Girls in weird ways because when I was at NYU, which is where I edited the footage of Dirty Girls in 2000, I also was working at the NYU campus TV station. Yeah, which was so
Cool.
fun. And
Wow.
I was a VJ, so I would show because it was
Oh my God.
height of MTV.
Oh my God.
Wait, so that is
Totally.
the coolest job that's like Christian Slater shit to like show up and be, the like radio disc jockey NYU. That is so
Yeah, that's
cool.
a really big deal.
That is so cool. That's a
cool.
dream job. That's
Yeah.
that's like a dream situation. Did you ever do anything scandalous in the booth?
Oh, good question. Well, I guess in a way, only in that, yeah, I felt very pump up the volume. It was very pump up the volume.
Yes.
Major reference point for me. Yes, because I saw that film the night before the first day of 7th grade with my friend. Went to the mall and we saw Pump Up the Volume, and we were so inspired that first of all, she went out and bought a whole new wardrobe, just like Samantha Mathis.
Yes.
Oh my God.
And we felt so rebellious. We ran around the mall and we felt rebellious, and we were going to start junior high the next day, and we felt so cool. And that was my early pre-Dirty Girls moment in the mall.
Well,
being a
I
rebel.
love that movie, and once as a child, somebody pointed at me and said, "Look, that boy looks like a deflated Christian Slater."
Oh
And
my!
so, yeah, I've always found I've always
They're not wrong.
Oh my gosh!
I say that lovingly, obviously.
Yeah.
That's,
That's pretty- Okay, Michael, I'm so sorry. So you're at NYU.
Oh yeah, I love it. Oh yes, and I so the well, if you could call it scandalous, but I decided to turn the music video show. It was called Livewire, and I decided to just make it my sketch comedy show. I was like, we'll show a couple music videos, we'll show a few in there, but let's mostly just show comedy sketches I make with my friends.
Cool.
How about I'm just gonna do that, and it was kind of gradual. Like I'd sort of like start, slipping in a few sketches here and there in between the videos, and then eventually, over one school year, it basically by the end of it was like there'd be like 2 music videos, and the rest was just my sketches, and
that is so cool.
Oh,
that is so
you.
cool.
And was this straight for a minute one of them.
Yeah.
Oh yes. Well, the funny thing was that Straight for a Minute, the experience that that inspired Straight for a Minute did happen during college. Like I remember, like just all those kind of funny moments of happening to just some very convincingly, so convincingly step in the closet for a moment. But the funny thing was, so I started this my sketch show at NYU TV, and then after I graduated from college, I kept doing the show, and I renamed it Pretty Things, and it became a public access TV show that I would, in keeping with my Christian Slater,
God.
Ethos, I would mail videotapes across the country to different public access stations,
right?
And it would air there. And so Straight for a Minute actually was made after college for the now rechristened show Pretty Things. And
this is what geniuses did when they moved to New York when they were 18. Me on the other hand, I hung out with insane people and went to magazine parties and dressed in costumes. And as you can see, it all catches up with you, Michael, because I do what you did in college in my 40s.
I mean, amazing.
Welcome to my dreams that I never captured.
I love it. No, I mean,
you can see that we're capturing this like type of element, and also not to joke about it, and it's actually quite serious that that isn't that funny that I have such a relationship with this film of yours, right? And this is my interest. And this interest is kind of born out of being in the AV room, right? When everybody was doing debate classes and playing soccer and, hanging out with friends and going to makeout parties, me and my friends, we were, smoking pot and putting together like ridiculous stunts that we would pull off. And I had the keys to the daily programming on, for the lunch break. So I would just put on these radical things that we were doing. And it was like, again, yeah, you hit it right on the nose. It was activism. But it was like snobbery activism. It was like, I just want to make you guys laugh at yourself and know that, and be blatantly disrespectful, but get away with it somehow where nobody else could.
And
is that something that resonates with you, Michael?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, well, it's so funny because I feel like, you definitely were in keeping with the whole the vision of the Dirty Girls. I mean, that's so Dirty Girls what you were doing with what you were. I think with my sketches on the, I sort of, where I was coming from was I was such a huge fan of and this was 1998 1999 at the time, and I was coming from all the being a huge fan of sketch shows like Kids in the Hall.
Oh my God, that was my thing. And so we were, but see, that's exactly what I'm talking about. We were creating those things. We were kind of like CKY before CKY, like before that video hit, before Jackass and all of that stuff. We were, putting on pants that were too tight and pretending to kick each other in the testicles over and over again. We were going to bowling alleys, and every time that they would play a Mace song, like Mace and Puff Daddy, no Diddy, every time they would play one of those songs, we would like wrestle in the middle of the, like absurd, ridiculous things, and we would put it on video, and we thought we were being clever. But okay. This was, and I know I get off on tangents, but I'm going to bring it around, Michael. I promise. There's and then suddenly I became absorbed with sneaking into bars that weren't checking my ID. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Checking into these bars that wouldn't check my ID and going to their open mic nights. And in the same type of way that I was like into this ridiculous, I was into the earnestness of people dying on stage, right? And at the same time, I was becoming very, very fascinated with call-in talk radio. By the way, Call 712-345-6648.
Nice.
Chris, you're so good. You're so good. It's nasty. Call 712-345-6648. Give us a call. Were you a dirty girl? Were you gay for a minute?
Like, what does that mean to you? I think that's what I'm really into discovering more of, because I think it means, oh, good pointing, Craig. You're really getting But yeah, please call us. And if you're not in the United States, you can call toll free 1-866-345-6648.
That's every time we do that, I want to say for Pizza Hut delivery, because it's in my head from that like early 1990s. I'm watching The Burbs. I'm seeing Corey Feldman, and I'm like, I need a pizza guy in my life. And I call anyway. Gay for a minute.
There you go.
So I guess what I was saying is that like this then sketch comedy. Right? Like in that same vein, I was really into the Upright Citizens Brigade. I was really into the State. I was really into Kids in the Hall and all of that stuff. And yeah, I just find it fascinating that our interests overlap in that way. And then here we are, on this podcast that's reminiscent of kind of these same type of environments, a place to let it all out, right?
Totally. And speaking of Upright Citizens Brigade, I love that you mentioned them, because sort of jumping around in the chronology of my life, linear time, what's that? We'll just
it doesn't matter here.
Matter doesn't exist. Yes, because at another era of my life, actually starting in 2013, years after college, and I had been in LA for a while, I got involved with the Upright Citizens Brigade Theater.
Oh my God. Amazing.
In LA.
Okay. And where you were with it, so what year was that?
2013.
Okay. Were there any interesting cast members that came out of there while you were there?
Yeah, there were. And it was so funny because at that time, 2013, as I was kind of coming up through the theater and doing the whole experience, we were all aware of like the golden age of UCB, which was like kind of the legendary, with Amy Poehler and all the people who came up through UCB in the late 90s, starting in New York.
That Wu-Tang episode is still like one of it's like hauntingly good to me when they create the mud golems to go around that are angrily smash things and then clean them up. They're just frustratingly just like cleaning up their own mess. Anyway, and what a brilliant concept, like these people that are just like defying the world for no good reason, like making things weird. It really resonated with me, and that exactly the way we're talking about. I'm sorry,
totally
stepping on your story again. God,
oh no, not at all. No, not at all. Not at all. No, I love that you were also connected to the Upright Citizens Brigade, from
very much so
from the show, and totally, it's so interesting. And then my life had taken all these sort of interesting twists and turns by that point. This was 2013 was, I graduated from NYU in 2001, so I had gone off and did all sorts of different things, and then I actually spent this whole stint at the production company World of Wonder here in LA, and they're amazing. They do RuPaul's Drag Race, and they do a lot of like queer documentaries, reality shows, and they made the movie Party Monster.
Oh, okay. Which
I love so much. I'm fascinated by sub kids.
Yes.
I have a great story about my relationship, and do I want to talk about this?
Let's talk. I'll tell you something too, but I want to hear what.
So Michael Alec, right? I at one time was I was the creative director for a very like notable nightclub in New York City for quite some time.
Oh.
And it was like a vaudeville variety show, cabaret type of thing. And a very dear friend of mine, and the only reason why I'm refraining from because I haven't got their sign off for mentioning their name, but they were writing a book, and they had a friendship with Michael Alec, who is still in prison, and wanted to come out and kind of get like an in into the nightclub world. And well, I talked up this story, and I really shouldn't, because I don't want to talk ill of the dead, but it didn't work out. And yeah, it's very interesting when he got out of prison, and I remember being like, wow, you've never seen a cell phone. That when you went in, cell phones didn't exist. And I was his very first meeting. He came directly from prison and was like figuring out his new cell phone and meeting with me about getting a gig. Anyway, what was your story?
Well, amazing. This might be another way our lives have connected unbeknownst to us. Because at World of Wonder, one of my main roles there was to be the videographer for James St. James, who wrote
of course,
Just a Bloodbath, which became Party Monster.
Wow.
And totally. And so it was me and James were this like 2-person duo going around LA to like the LA nightlife, and I was his videographer.
Wow.
Amazing.
Amazing.
I mean, it really, actually, you know what? I'm not surprised by this, because it is kind of a small world. And this is the backbone of this show, actually, that we have, that there's this, there is culture, and then there's subculture, right? And I remember when I was a dirty girl, that the thing that separated, it wasn't a difference of like, were you punk enough? I mean, maybe inside of the punks, it was like, are you punk enough? Or punks don't like goths don't like skaters, you know, whatever the infighting is. But we all were outsiders. And what we hated more than anything else was them. And I liked that. I liked having these safety places to go. And that's kind of the genesis of this little idea. Again, if this is you, and this is not, you know, maybe I talk about these things a little bit too, like I try to be silly. And I remember I want to get out of that habit. I think it's just because I'm uncomfortable, to be honest. But
no, but I mean,
you're gonna start crying again.
Well, I mean, I appreciate, like, I do think that I want to take this counterculture thing more seriously, especially with this guest that we have on, you know, because there is like, you know, shocking people through the absurd and, you know, like big actions like that. But again, when we're, you know, Michael, if you're like straight for a date as a queer man, you made that, you know, and like with the dirty girls, like they're like 12, 13-year-old girls, you know, doing this. Like it's they're practicing absurdity, but also like your identity, your personhood is a part of it, you know, like who you are is a part of it. And I get, for me as like a queer non-binary person, like I love using humor and I love being silly and, you know, and everything, but it's, you know, a lot of these countercultures and like where they're born from aren't just to be silly or absurd, you know, it's like actually a way of surviving.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Oh, that's so true. Yeah, no, that's so interesting, and that is so true. I think queerness, my own queerness, you know, sort of blossoming queerness as a teenager, I think is also what drew me to the Dirty Girls, and what helped me see a kindred spirit in them, and what helped me appreciate them so much was the even if they weren't queer or didn't know they were queer yet.
Queer is like is an ethos. It doesn't have to be like your sexuality or gender identity. It is like queering culture. You know, it is like acting against like the predominant culture. You know, that for me is like, you know, Craig, why like I feel like you're queer in a lot of ways, even though you don't identify as but that like I think that that's important to include. You know, Michael, as you're saying that like they might not have been identifying as like gay, but like what they were doing was queer as fuck.
Totally.
Yeah.
They were completely, they were completely queer in that way. They're outsiders. Yeah, kind of, they were othered, and they were,
Excuse me, Michael. I'm sorry to cut you off. We're going to come right back to you, but this little line that's moving around our border here. Yeah, there we go. Well, okay. Anyway, that's to show me that we're up against a midnight, and we celebrate midnights here because this, of course, is midnight across America. And so coming up soon, we have our Central Time Zone midnight, and to go after that break, we would love to show you another dear friend of ours, a group called Redder Moon. They have an album that's going to be coming out hopefully in the spring called If You're Falling, Dive. And here's Midnight, and then followed up by that video.
How's it going? I'm Michael, and I'm proud to be a homosexual. But I gotta admit, there are those times when I become straight for a minute. When a tough dude makes me feel physically threatened. Are you a fag? Back off. I'm into chicks. I become straight for a minute. When an old man starts chatting.
Away from your embrace, I'll dance and play over you.
Pee-wee Reese has a way with Dodger rookies or Sandlot youngsters. Pee-wee, you do a lot of work with boys.
Not work, Al. I like baseball and kids. I enjoy helping teenagers start right.
Well, that's around shaving age, and you give them pointers on personal appearance, too?
Yes, a boy has more self-respect when he's clean shaved. I tell him to use a Gillette razor, Al.
You said it, the Gillette Super Speed Razor. And today there are 3. Light for sensitive skin and most younger men. Regular for average skin and beard. Heavy for men who like the heft and feel of a heavier razor. Each is different, precisely engineered. One has the right blade edge exposure, edge angle, and weight to shave you in a breeze. Comfortable, good-looking shaves you may never have had before. And convenient, you change blades and rinse clean, so. Choose your Gillette Super Speed Razor. $1.29 with Gillette Blue Blade dispenser and handy travel case.
Delivered the message. Now what?
Now let's check the second message.
Ready?
Mum, the doctor's deodorant discovery now contains M3. Got that? M3 to stop odor 24 hours a day. Remember now.
I know. For security reasons, Mum's the word. New Mum cream deodorant now with M3. Got the message?
Hey, Susie Q, what's cooking with you?
Your teeth look whiter than new. My teeth aren't new, but my toothpaste is new Pepsodent. Get with it, kids. New package, new flavor, new formula, too, means brighter smiles for me and you.
You'll wonder where the yellow went when you brush your teeth with Pepsodent. The new formula with IMP gets teeth much whiter. You can see it cleans the stains and film away, while Irium fights tooth decay. You'll wonder where the yellow went when you brush your teeth with Pepsodent. The taste is new, so fresh and clean. That new taste really lasts, it's keen. And while it makes your smile a rave, it also makes your breath behave. So start going steady right away with Pepsodent. Get some today. You'll wonder where the yellow went when you brush your teeth with Pepsodent. Pepsodent, Pepsodent.
This is a story of an industry in action.
Gonna take me a press, gonna take me some steel, gonna take my 2 hands and build an automobile.
How many dreams can you shape in a minute, an hour? Ask the people of Dodge.
Put in a rivet and a welded and a look alive. Wait till you see this baby drive.
What makes an engine go? Is it stock and steel and copper tubing, or infinite care and experience with men and women working together to bring metals alive?
Turn her out, Henry! Turn her out, Joe! We'll put her together, then watch her go!
Heads up, she's coming down. 2 months ago, 3 tons of unmined ore. Today, a designer's idea come to life.
Put a brand new body on a brand new frame. Tighten her up and give it a name. Call it a dot.
It's a proud name. Proud in tradition, proud in service. Swift and mighty in action.
I took me a press, I took me some steel, I took my 2 hands and built an automobile. I built a Dodge. I built a Dodge.
Treble and timbre, music, radio.
Always a bad girl. Always, always a bad girl. Always a bad girl. Always, always a bad girl. Rosa Parks was a bad girl. Back of the bus, she's always a bad girl.
Amelia Earhart was a bad girl. Flying her airplanes, bad girl.
Joan of Arc was a bad girl. Burning on that cross, she's always a bad girl.
Frida Kahlo was a bad girl. Shaggy Una Brown, a tumultuous heart.
Always a bad girl. Always, always a bad girl. Always a bad girl. Always, always a bad girl. Chelsea's still a bad girl. Chelsea Clinton, always a bad girl.
Karen Carpenter was a bad girl.
Wasting away from bulimia, a bad girl.
Chelsea's daddy's lover was a bad girl. Monica Lewinsky, always a bad girl.
Susan B. Anthony was a bad girl. Voting rights for women, bad girl.
Always a bad girl. Always a bad girl. Always a bad girl. Always a bad girl. Barbara Walters was a bad girl. Made all the stars cry. Bad girl.
Marie Antoinette was a bad girl. When you eat her cake, you'll feel her power.
Margaret Thatcher was a bad girl. Conservative leader of Britain, bad girl.
Mama Cass was a bad girl. Sang her heart out for all you guys.
Always a bad girl. Always a bad girl. Always a bad girl. Always a bad girl. Harriet Tubman was a bad girl. Helping the Underground Railroad, bad girl.
Gloria Steinem is a bad girl. Original feminist, a really, really bad girl.
Moses' sister was a bad girl. Hiding baby boys in the Bible. Madonna. Always a bad girl. Always. She's always a bad girl. Always a bad girl. Always. That's right, she's a bad girl.
Bad girl.
Hi, it's me again. I'm Craig, and this is Midnight Across America. And that was another really funny and wonderful video by our guest, Michael Lucid. And we are just so excited to have you. And furthermore, I believe over that long break that we had at midnight, we got... Never mind. Never mind. Welcome back, Michael.
Thank you.
Welcome back, Michael. That was yet again another wonderful, always a bad girl. And that was one of Mallory's favorites. Mallory?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad.
Yeah, when I was going through all of your shorts to pick as little things we could throw in. Again, all of your stuff holds up, Michael.
Yeah.
Really.
It really does.
Yeah.
It really does. It really speaks to me. And we were talking during the break about our shared influences of the time, one being Liquid TV. Was there a favorite segment on Liquid TV that still resonates with you?
Yes, there was. I loved Eon Flux.
Oh God, so hot. Do you remember when their eyelashes were fucking
flying?
No, but there was a scene where they were in a train and the trains were passing and they stuck their eyes out of the windows, and as the trains were going the same speed, their eyelashes were fucking each other and their tears were winding around each other and fucking at each other's eyeballs. It was incredibly hot as a little kid.
Sounds so cool.
I never ever would have remembered that, but now that you say that, it's pulling something very visceral from my 12-year-old brain. That
you erased it from your mind because you felt guilty. You felt shame after seeing that. I did a little bit, but my parents were secular, so
okay. See, I mean,
I had no God complex. I was free to be as naughty as I wanted to be.
Ooh.
See, that's a good thing. That's a good not have that.
Yeah, I think that my first like taste of naughty was realizing that that when all of my friends when all of the neighborhood kids were were calling George Michael gay.
Oh yeah.
And then I realized, oh wait, they're not being complimentary.
Right. It's like,
for a long time I was like, sick. Gay is sick. Gay is the coolest fucking thing
That's
going.
gay.
I can't wait
Why
to be
aren't
gay.
we all gay?
And then they were like, no, dude, no. And I was like, I've kind of based my life around this already. I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, I think that we have a caller on the line, and I'm very excited to get to the caller. Caller, can you hear me? Caller,
yes,
can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, hi, caller. Welcome to Midnight Across America. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Harper, one of the OG Dirty Girls, and I'm calling from LA.
No way.
Harper, thank you so much for
That's
calling.
Right.
Hello.
Hey, Michael.
Hi, Harper. This is amazing. I'm so glad you're here.
Wow. Oh
I am too. This
gosh.
is so fun.
Craig
This
might
is
need
the
a
best
second.
call. I need a second. I am just such a fan of you, Harper. You really I feel like a very shared when you like read a poem and you're like, God, that I felt like that fell out of my head. Some of the things that you were saying in this documentary, and actually incidentally, I feel like we were on the same mind shift. Have a lot of people said that to you? Am I the first one?
First of all, I'm hearing you talk in the beginning of this, and it sounds like we probably were. Sounds like we were on the similar mind alignment.
Cool.
Yeah, we have fans. I say we, like my sister Amber and I have similar experiences. Mostly we have fans who are currently, let's say, 13 or 14 or 12 and feel outcasted and isolated, and we get a big thank you. I don't feel so alone. So that's really the majority of the people that approach us. That's where they're coming from.
Oh my God.
Man.
Harper, that means that I love to hear that. And also as a 38-year-old, same. Like as I was saying to Michael earlier, that like seeing this as an adult, like retroactively healed my like 12 and 13-year-old queer non-binary self who was raised as a girl in like very strict, rigid context. So wow.
Yeah. I'm so happy to hear that. That really is the majority. I mean, if you can imagine when this went viral, my sister and I were in India at the time traveling for the Kumbh Mela.
Whoa.
And I had really wild. I had started plucking my unibrow as soon as I graduated high school. And then many, many years later, I guess we're talking 2000. When did it first go viral? 2013?
Oh, 13.
Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So we were in India, and because I was in India, I let my unibrow grow out for the first time since high school. So it was so bizarre for me to get back home and then hear this crazy news that the Dirty Girls documentary went viral, and we had 330,000 views, and all of a sudden thousands of fans, and they were all and majority or all of it really was positive. Like I was like, okay, this is going to come with all that hate bullshit that I hear about, and there was almost none. It was mostly, like I said, people just feeling like they felt seen and heard, whether they were actually 13 and 14 years old or they were adults having a very like sentimental remembrance of their high school experience and having a similar experience that you had, which is very healing.
Yeah.
To think back and to watch that. So, I mean, it was really an incredible experience. And honestly, we felt an immediate responsibility to our new quote unquote fans. And we started a project. Yeah. And we started a project almost immediately called Dirty Girls Project, which really needs to come back again. But it was...
Yes. Can we talk about that?
Yes, absolutely. And essentially what we immediately created was a platform and a space where we could continue the same conversations, which I'm not sure if I actually said it in the documentary, but I felt very, very passionate about it then, and I still do today, which is collaboration over competition. And it was a feeling that I had in high school with the other girls in high school, where I would just be like I couldn't understand what these girls were doing competing against each other. And most of the time it was like for the eyes of the guys, right?
Yes.
And that just, there's like identity thing that happens to you in high school. Like you see it in the work environment as an adult, like it doesn't ever fucking go away. Right. And so we created a platform, Dirty Girls Project, where we were pushing really hard on the collaboration versus competition. And we were like meeting and doing collaborative content with other like dirty girls out there, other women of all ages who, and it wasn't really always women, but that's where it sort of spawned, who were doing exactly what they fucking loved, and they're doing it passionately, they're doing it confidently, and like not giving a shit. And they to us were mentors that could be mentors even for young women and and young adults. And so we were creating content by the way of collaborating. And the vision, honestly, that we saw in the future that didn't end up getting legs was, how can we support mentorship for young dirty girls? And like I said, it's not just women, right? It's essentially dirty girls. I heard what you guys were saying earlier, where it was like, we're looking at class, and we're looking at like, that's probably like the worst thing you can say. Eventually, after this documentary has gone viral, for us, it became a source of really of pride. Really
sure.
Hell yeah.
Sure.
Right?
I want to be a dirty girl. Fuck yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Hell
yeah. So that's honestly the most common phrase we hear from everybody.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
And we go, you are.
Well,
you are. Watch.
Well, we are the biggest supporter of that project, and we will always be a big supporter of the project. And this would not be the last that you hear about that project here. You will be hearing about it on every episode of this show. I can assure you, we are dirty girls here on this show. And we want to be part of the collaboration.
Collaboration over
Harper.
competition is Harper. That's like such a profound yet simple thing, but like it's so radical. And especially, as somebody who was raised as a girl, like that was something that baffled me growing up was how I was positioned, by girls around me. And it was always for the male gaze. It was always for the attention. It was always for the patriarchy. And that's the thing that I think has like isolated me the most, made me feel the most lonely in my life. Is that
interesting? Yeah.
Yeah. And so I love that collaboration.
You felt that in high school? You felt the loneliness, and you could recognize like the loneliness of the patriarchy then? Or how did it translate for you in high school? Was it that specific?
Yeah, I've lived a lot of my life actually feeling like it's been really hard for me to make friends, period. But especially with people who were raised as girls, and women, and I mean, I'm queer, and also like I'm a developing non-binary person, but I can't, that doesn't mean that I don't understand what it means to be a girl, because I'm still perceived as one.
Sure, of course. Yeah.
And I think that's why, that the dirty girls, that like Craig connects to it and stuff, that I think that with the dirty girls, it's like why it feels retroactively healing to me, because it makes me feel less lonely watching it. That like I grew up in a really conservative place. Went to a private school as well. And I there, even the counterculture there was like so gentle and light, you know, like that even that didn't feel like it gave me any sort of place. And so I think, I mean, for me, what you're doing is it's like making me feel less lonely and making the 12-year-old in me feel less alone.
Did you ever, as you were
so
an
awesome.
activist, as a, you know, young adult, young teenager, did you ever like lay in your bed and imagine that you would be projecting this activism as, you know, at this stage in your life, in that exact, and like hearkening back to these exact philosophies that are unchanging? This is something that I feel like people say they grow in their lives and whatever. And not to say that I was a stunted, but like everything that I believe today, with a lot of consideration and a lot of self-challenging, but the stuff that I figured out when I was 13 and 14 years old with my best friends, my fucking witches, around like a little fire that I made in a can in my bedroom. And we were talking about the meaning of life and figuring it out. And we were like, irate that nobody was acknowledging these things that seemed trite, and we didn't have like a necessarily a mature way of getting it out. But God damn it, I stand behind every single fucking thing that I meant when I was 13. And in fact, I'm embarrassed that I don't stand as hard for them as I did then.
Well, I'm 100% with you on that. That's exactly how it feels. And like, no, of course, then I didn't think so far into the future to imagine that I might be still having the same sort of value system, but I wouldn't have doubted it, right? Like it felt so absolutely right and to the core. Like it didn't feel fleeting, and it didn't feel like it was a phase. Maybe the grunge and the style and the dreads. I mean, after that, I ended up growing dreads, but like maybe that was. I knew I was smart enough to realize. I'm
still dressing like that, honestly. I honestly, I've looked at pictures of myself when I was, 13, and I'm like, really, honestly, I think I still have that T-shirt. You know. Anyway,
I did find my L. I might even have been in the documentary. There's.
Tell me it's L7.
I think so. It was an L7 T-shirt that I hand drew with permanent marker, and like it had like a million rips in it, obviously. And then I think in the back I wrote like a grassy ass before, like I don't know why, because it sounded like grassy ass, or I don't know. It was whack.
Harper, you're singing to me. Like eventually graphic, like around halfway through 7th grade, like even graphic band T-shirts became too like commercial for me. So I started drawing like ironic anti-graphic T-shirts, like the big Kurt Cobain, the memorial Kurt Cobain thing. When Shannon Hoon died, I did like a picture missing thing. Like nobody gives a fuck about like, just real junky heroes or whatever the fuck I was doing. And like drawing all over our laces and I back at my parents' house, one thing that I have yet to let my mother throw away of mine is this pair of Chuck Taylors that like has glitter nail polish covering the sides of it, and like one of the really good like toe drawings that I did. I spent some time on one of the things. It had like all of my friends' signatures on it, a bunch of things tied into the laces. I'm really getting off on a tangent. I feel like I know you really well, Harper.
You do. We're speaking the same language. And you guys were talking about like the hilariousness of like being bathed but looking like shit. And like it was classic to like buy Chuck Taylors and then like put them under your tires and like run over them a few times because they were like too brand new.
Oh my God.
Right?
Oh
like,
my
those were the
God.
types of things
Yes.
that he did.
Yes. And another thing that was, I think, worth pointing out is that like you were what is it that they resented you for in the first place? is that you were doing something, I would argue, right?
Right.
And here it is. You're still doing something, you pompous little twit, right? Like, I can't believe that you would still have the audaciousness to try to reflect on what you're seeing and do something about it. And by the way, like, while you guys were listening to, I don't know what the fuck any of the other kids in my high school were listening to be honest with you. I was very insulated from that shit. But I was listening to L7 in my fucking headphones. And I was listening to songs like Can I Run? And, you know, like, Are These Sensible Rebel Shoes on My Feet? Yeah. You know, but like very specifically, I remember being like, as a guy, right, who was hanging out with a bunch of girls, and I was thinking like, are these sensible shoes on my feet? It's such a powerful line, but I didn't know what the fuck it meant. And then I had to think about it, and then I had to think about it, and then I'm like, oh, because this chick is probably going to have to run from one of the voices that are screaming at her from behind. And that shit is still going on today. And give me an artist today that is saying it as beautifully, as poetically as Are These Sensible Shoes on My Feet? I wear my shades so our eyes don't meet, you know?
Yes. And I think that's why, like Harper, seeing you and Amber, like sitting there, like saying out loud, we know people who have been raped. Women are being raped. I have been sexually abused. Again, that's a part, like, for me, that is such an essential part of this documentary, is that, like, for 12 and 13-year-old girls to be saying that out loud, as somebody who experienced that a lot as a kid, and that was a part of the loneliness. And I think something that I have experienced from women, you know, because I got into therapy fairly young, in, you know, comparison to other people, to deal with the sexual abuse I went through. And I have experienced a lot of resentment from other women for speaking out loud, because they feel like, how dare you? I don't have the space. I don't have, you know, like, because they didn't have the space or privilege or context, you know, that I did to do that work. And for me, watching Dirty Girls, I feel that sort of vibe from, you know, the other girls there is this like resentment of like the fight and freedom that you were displaying.
I think so, for sure. I'll say two things. One, in response to that, you know, they didn't hear us. I mean, there was obviously the snarky jokes about like the dime store zine, whatnot, which was pretty close-minded, considering they could have been like, first of all, they were in like 11th or 12th grade looking at like 7th and 8th
crazy
zine. Like, that's pretty fucked up, right? Anyways, to be like, this is dime store, when really they could have been like, look at these brave motherfucking children, right? But nonetheless, you know, Michael actually aired this documentary at school shortly after he made it. Hang on.
Bro. Revolution. How did that go? What happened?
Oh yeah, Harper, I'm so glad you mentioned that part of the.
So what happened was the first time he aired it, wasn't it 2 hours long almost, Michael?
Yes.
The first one?
Totally.
Yeah, it was 2
this
hours.
version.
Just rub their noses in it.
It was the whole damn thing.
Yeah, it was.
Like,
that was me as a high school senior, editing VCR to VCR and making.
Oh, I was very familiar. I loved it. Yes. Editing bays. Oh my God, dead technology. Yes. God, we had no idea what was coming. We wasted a lot of time learning things.
And right, little did we know. So, it was all going to change. And it was. I made and that version. Actually, I filmed myself as the narrator, host of the film, and I would come in throughout the film to sort of explain to the audience what was happening and to sort of advocate for the dirty girls and say, you know, they're misunderstood and this is what you need to understand. And it was just me sitting in my bedroom. And so that was, and then
honestly, Michael was like, stood like that. Thank you again. I know I probably thanked you then. But like, honestly, so many people approached us and apologized after that aired.
Wow.
Because it gave us, it gave people context and a voice that was impossible when you're in the high school pitter patter bullshit of like, are you wearing Janko jeans and a tag watch? And then who are these fucking girls wearing slips and red lipstick on their face? Like, you know, it's just so easy to, right? It's just so easy to like make fun of people to make yourself feel higher. And that was something I actually knew in my core.
Me and my friends, we used to wear women's underwear in our jeans just so that we could go up to dudes and we'd be, you know, like at the Steak and Shake or something like that, where kids would hang out at night, you know, or the Perkins or something. We'd like, you know, get closer to the jock and we'd be like, check this out. And show them that we were wearing women's underwear and just watch them explode. You know, they'd be like, what the fuck? What the? Are you fucking kidding? It's like, bro, look at that button you
we're
got.
Cut from the same cloth. For sure. Oh my god! It was just hilarious to us to like make to watch people like shiver in their like uncomfortable in their pants, you know?
Yeah. Just blow up. Just absolutely.
Just blow up.
Yeah. You know.
So anyway,
please
go ahead. So I was gonna say that was one thing, and then the other thing I wanted to say, because this is in response to speaking out on sexual abuse. So, you know, I don't know that this is very clear in the documentary, but we were deeply in the Riot Girl movement and we were young. And so we would go to Riot Girl conventions. Like we would drive up to Santa Barbara and go to these conventions, and we were by far the youngest people there. I mean, it was Dion, Amber, and I, and we would drive out there and we would just spend a lot of time at these conventions, and it was incredibly empowering. And at those conventions, you know, we really were empowered to stand up for homophobia and sexism and sexual abuse, and we carried all of the energy that we absorbed there right back into our school. And that's really was one of the biggest, I mean, I'll never forget being in Santa Barbara for the weekend and then coming and walking through campus. And I was empowered. I felt it in my body, and I knew it deeply and at my core what I stood for. And that was really one of the like biggest motivating factors for being able to speak so clearly and so directly and stand up for other people and outcasts and, you know, etc.
I yet again, you know, very similar. There was this girl named I don't want to say her name, but LS, and I have the biggest heart for her. But she was like my Riot Girl introducer, right? She's who took me to my first late night Rocky Horror Picture Show. She's who really made me a dirty girl. Like, to be honest with you, you know, like Bikini Kill, the Muffs, Hole, you know, the whole shebang. And and one of the things when we started becoming friends, this was my freshman year of high school when we met, like the first week, to hang out with her. She was like, "You want to hang out with me? Like, come and volunteer with me." And so I started going to I started volunteering at the Runaway and Battered Women's Shelter with her from my freshman to like hang out with her, and we brought a whole gang because it was the cool. We were cool, and it was activism, but like not bullshit activism, not like food not bombs. Like we were we were overnight monitoring battered women's shelters and manning the and running fundraisers and stuff like that. So I feel very familiar to that, and also like very specifically, we were seeing this thing that at the time nobody was talking about sexual abuse like that. It would have been wild, outrageous to force people to reflect on the fact that, you know, 80-90% of these young girls in your high school have been sexually assaulted, and it was a fact. And boys. Absolutely. And so the Riot Girl movement somehow really embodied that. The grunge movement, they were always talking about this, you know, anti-homophobia. These were core values, and everything else. Like if those are your values, if those are the things that you're actually fighting for, all of everything else, it's like very sharp already. You know what I mean?
Right.
These are the core problems. It's hard to it's I'm not trying to create a hierarchy of like hatred, but like if you think about it, if you could like correct that seed of like hate that is spawning from like sexism and rape culture and patriarchy, the other things kind of solve themselves if that gets solved first, you know? Like it really is the backbone of this angsty society that we live in my opinion. I don't mean to be on a soapbox about this, but it always felt very core. It always felt very core to me.
It did to me too. I mean, it's incredible. It was and is still incredibly important because those are areas. I mean, there are several other areas, but those are areas where if it's not spoken about loudly and verbally,
that's it.
Then it's hidden in shame. And when it's
It
hidden in shame,
thrives
that's
in
when you get
silence.
stuck.
It thrives in silence.
And you look into the eyes
exactly.
of and shoulders of those other girls, and I don't mean to point fingers, but like the idea that they're reading this thing and they're like, how trite, like sexual assault, how that they're hiding something, and that makes me feel just so sad, if not irritated anymore, not angry, not disturbed, sad as an adult looking back on that and knowing like
because
they're
it's
hating
not
themselves.
Because I mean, again, especially when you're talking about kids who are like compounding on this like violence and like sexism and shit, like that means that like they don't have the safety to talk about like what they're going through, that like it is safer to perpetuate and be a part of this, like, this doesn't happen. Who do they think they are in their lives? Like, I mean, I that was my experience growing up, like that. I come from that. Like I come from a culture where it was safer to participate in the patriarchy than speak out against it.
Yeah, sure.
Right.
Sure.
And so back then and even now, it sickens me that people have to essentially like shutter themselves and, minimize and make themselves smaller, and therefore don't even get to live up much of their life, right? Like their dreams and what they stand for, because there's so much shame and, falling into fitting into spaces. And that's why it was so important for us. And I think that is, again, one of the reasons why we ended up with so many fans where people feel seen and heard and hopefully and potentially capable of speaking out. Right.
Yes,
so
absolutely. And before I know we've had you on for a while, and I don't know what your time limit is like, but I did want to get to at least one other thing, and I won't play the video. We did have a clip already lined up with you in it because I'm a real fan, and I think that some of the things that you've said are just absolutely so profound. And in a follow-up segment that I know that Michael did, there was a quote that you made that I so immediately identified with. And I don't mean to botch it, but it was something like, we knew we were bullied, but we didn't feel bullied.
Yeah.
And God, we knew so hard that we were the jokes, but like little did they know we were laughing at them. And I didn't feel bad at all. I felt, if anything, sad for them. But I know I was the freak. I know I was the outcast. Does that resonate with you?
I couldn't tell if you were reading a quote of something that I said or you were saying.
Both.
Amazing. Yes, it resonates with like
amazing.
Perfectly. Like it's exactly what our perspective was. And in fact, like at first I really didn't give a shit that we were quote unquote bullied, and it really didn't affect me. And yes, you're right. Then there was the part where we were laughing at them, thinking that we were the butt of the joke. There's that piece too. But then I also very clearly understood that everybody was struggling, and that when they're bullying me and commenting at me, that they're just trying to make themselves feel bigger and safer. And I'll never forget walking across in order to exit school, we had to walk across the basketball court, which put us right in front of all the jocks every day, right? And I'll never forget starting on one end of the basketball court, walking across the other, and as I got all the way to the other side, some basketball players from the original side screamed, "Don't you have a mirror at home? I can smell you from here." And I turned around and walked very confidently and directly and fairly slowly right directly to the guy that said that. And I was essentially more or less like, "Would you like to tell me that?" closer to my face. And then I knew, even as a 13-year-old, I was like, it's okay. I realize that you're only putting me down in order to make yourself feel higher. So that's more of your problem. And then I turned around and turned away, because that's really where I stood. So yes, I can relate to what you said.
I told a bully once who was beating me up, and he was like, "Why aren't you fighting back, queer? You're just gonna take it like a big pussy, queer." And and I said, no, I'm conjuring a spell, and I put a curse on you that your firstborn child is going to be gay, and you're going to have to explain to him the lesson that I just taught you that you don't even know yet. And somehow I walked away with a big fat lip, and I was like, I totally kicked that guy's fucking ass. He had no idea what hit him. I cursed him. And I think about him actually quite often. I imagine he's riding a lawnmower or something, and he's looking over through a window at his child, and he's like,
he probably thinks about you.
That motherfucker.
Yeah, exactly.
Why is he so into manga? Or whatever. That really was the humor. That was the method. Man, it just feels so good to speak with you, Harper, and hash this out, because I really did find, a shared experience with you. And it's good to feel affirmed for that. I'm not crazy.
No, not alone. You're not alone. You're not crazy. And it sounds like we were going through a very similar experience.
It's phenomenal. And in fact, I don't know what do you have going on right now? What is it that you're doing outside of the Dirty Girls project?
So, I've always been a photographer. Surgeon. There was the last 10 years a little quiet period. I'm still doing photography, but more gig based, or I don't know. Always, if there's a camera in my hand, no matter when or what I'm doing, I'm really very, very happy. So I'm not the type of photographer that's like, oh God, I got to do an event. It's not my favorite, but as long as I'm shooting, it's really feels like my version of both processing and expression and everything. It's almost like how I interpret information, carry, and etc. And but right now I'm going through quite a big resurgence creatively, and I'm shooting very passionately about shooting what I really want to be shooting. And I'm doing what I'm calling them is, for now, it's land escapes. And I am envisioning bodies that disappear into landscapes. So where the bodies become merged or fit into cracks and rocks or into the forest.
Oh, that is right up my alley.
I'm using myself right now, and I'm often doing nudes. So I'm doing self-portrait, landscape, land escapes. And I'm using myself because I'm the most accessible, and I'm willing to force myself to, be in the cold and uncomfortable. But the vision is always a body. It's not it wasn't originally my body. It's just what I've been doing. And in the process, I'm having really incredible experiences where I'm becoming the witness to my own vision while also being the subject. And then also, then I'm also processing difficult things.
Wait.
Yeah.
Please, I don't mean to slow you down, but I really want to unpack that because it's like, anyway, the
becoming
a witness. Go off.
Okay. So that is in alignment with the theory that I don't have to attach and I can either say I or you or whatever, but we don't have to attach ourselves permanently as the stories that we've always told, or maybe the emotions that we're currently having. It doesn't have to be you and all of you, right? And so there's a piece that when you pull yourself, or I pull myself away and I become the witness and I can see myself, there becomes more of an opportunity to, I wouldn't say like completely change that, but it doesn't have to be like the identifier where you get like stuck in, like, let's say it's depression, or let's say it's anger, or let's say it's sadness. Like, yes, those are as real as they are, and they need to be honored to be as real as they are, but like everyone has their shit. And so if I have my thing with my dad where he maybe treated me in a certain way, like I don't have to carry that around for the rest of my life and identify with that storyline. And so I feel like becoming the witness to yourself allows for an opportunity to not identify with it all of the time. And in that process, there's an opportunity to evolve or to change or to see a different way of doing things or to practice a different way of doing things. And so in my art of using my own self, my own body, I'm finding that there's a different place for me. I'm both behind the lens, I'm the subject, and there becomes this almost third person watching the whole thing. Like it's almost like there's some, I don't mean to sound nuts, but like almost like another version, the witness, where I'm like producing this whole vision because I'm not behind the lens and I'm not able to watch the subject through the lens. But when I'm posing for myself, I'm deeply in that moment also. And so I guess that's where I'm going with it. It's almost like a processing or a meditative thing. So it like I said, it didn't start where I was the model for myself, but this is where it's evolving to, and I'm becoming more and more passionate, and it's evolving as a process too.
I mean, this is something, Harper, that I feel like I'm like working through in therapy, where it's like, what I hear you saying is like, I feel it, I went through it, but that doesn't mean I am it. And I think that this is something that, to go back to the shame thing with the Dirty Girls, that like something I have had to work through a lot is like the shame that we feel is not ours. And it can be so powerful to have a creative practice, like it sounds like you have, to like get outside of yourself, to be able to see like this thing that has been put on me that I went through and that made me feel things is not mine to hold.
Right. And so this is a practice. It's a creative practice where I'm having this reminder all the time. And sometimes I put myself in really challenging physical spaces. Like, I mean, besides the fact that like I'm nude in public and like anybody theoretically could walk by, that's one challenge in and of itself. But then there's like, I'll put myself like in a crack of a rock, like, and squeeze up, higher and higher. It's like incredibly uncomfortable. And during the process, my camera is shooting, right? It's just shooting and shooting and shooting. But I'm like, whatever, like I'm there for 15 minutes processing my thoughts and what I have been going through and all the metaphors for being like stuck between the rock and a hard place. And like, then like I get to the top of the rock and then I hug it and I'm like, I feel like I've accomplished it. It's just like I'm going through all my own everything. Storyline, and meanwhile there's another version of me watching the whole darn thing. Like I'm also the artist. Like I'm also envisioning the composition all at the same time. So yeah, it's becoming, I imagine it's going to continue to evolve. It's becoming very personal of an experience and then of a project. And it didn't start that way, but it's really, it's gaining traction for myself. I don't even, and it's so interesting because same thing with where I was with Dirty Girls. I don't even really give a shit what people think about it. It's really becoming a process and an art where I'm becoming the vessel for it. And I feel so grateful
is there a way,
that I'm able to do that.
Is there a way, if we're dying of interest, to enjoy it and and at the very least critique it? Is there a place that we can go to look at it, please, Harper?
Yeah, right now I'm using Instagram mostly as a way of presenting it. Yeah. And I'm happy.
And we can find you on Instagram at, we'll put a link below, but if you just want to go ahead and mention it to our live audience now, please.
Sure. So the photography one it's Black Box Photo, but it's spelled different. It's spelled BLAQ box photo.
Got that. And then so and that's what you're mentioning right now. And then of course the Dirty Girl Project, I know that you can find that on Instagram as well. We are running up against another midnight.
Yeah.
Well, I'm very happy for you to come back with us, but I'm not sure where Michael is at. Michael, are you going to be able to come back to us after we come back from this this midnight break?
Yes, no, I'm energized.
My God, this is great. Okay, and Harper, are you willing to come back with us as well?
Sure, absolutely.
Oh my God, this is really a dream, and you are so our people, Harper. I just can't believe it.
Yes.
I'm just. Thank you for bringing this into our life. Michael, thank you. I am
for real. Thank you,
and I know that I'm speaking for a lot of people out there, you know, and wait, my eyes are so bad. Oh, we're 5 minutes too. I thought it looked like an 8 to me.
Here was like, Craig, you're getting
I'm not 13 anymore. I'm not 13 anymore. Well, anyway, I'm on top of things, and I don't know. I'm just like, as you're even talking about your artistic drive and your philosophy behind it, I want to get into, I've had a philosophy for quite some time, specific to our generation, Harper, that we are uniquely in this land of, I would call it like post-Cobainism with our icons, right? Where there was Janis Joplin, who died tragically, Jimi Hendrix, and all of these heroes that died tragically, but they died tragically like sloppy, you know what I mean? Party too hard.
Right.
They ripped it too fast, right? And our guy was like, this is bullshit. And I'm sick of playing for people that don't really get it. And for my own fans, I will sacrifice myself in honor, and I will never, ever defy you. I will die and I will be pure. And we had uniquely a hero that never disappointed us. And that's hard for somebody else to understand. Like, no, they killed themselves. And it's like, yeah, but you don't get it. That was that was the statement. That was
we all
the
were
thing.
like, you don't get it.
Yeah, you don't get it. That was the move. You know, that actually is the only way, because we're all going to have to give in. You know, my generation, they might have thought it hurt my feelings to call me a dirty. What? It didn't. But if you called me a poser, I would have fought. I like the whole dynamic would have shifted, and I would have been like, a poser? You don't fucking know. I don't even wear fucking clothes that you can get at the mall, you know, or whatever the fuck, right? I'm the real deal. And that was the only thing that I had a sense of pride in. We're on the same tip still, Harper?
Oh yeah, 100%. Are you kidding? It was as real as it could be. Poser was the worst, you could say.
Right. And so like this, and I kind of define it as this hero that when he got on the scene, like our older brothers, or the older brothers of my friends, when they were listening to Guns N' Roses and hanging titty pictures, in their garages, and we thought that was being cool and bad. Suddenly we had a hero that was like wearing a dress and telling guys like, it's weird that that you're just sexualizing women on your records. Why would you do that? It has nothing to do with anything. It became disgusting to me and my friends.
Yeah.
Okay, so then let's hold that thought for 1 second, if you don't mind, Harper. The little line, I'm going to try to chase it around and go to a break. And furthermore, inside of that break, after celebrating midnight, we're going to also celebrate another one of my favorite videos from Colin Self. This is the track. I'm feeling like this video, this song is like the hit of the fucking summer to come. And so again, this album, Respite and Levity for the Nameless Ghost in Crisis by Colin Self, is out now on Revenge Records. Go and pick it up. And this video to come is the best, and it's called Doll Park by Colin Self. Midnight. And we're back. What a lovely show we are having tonight. That was tonight's readings. Also, the song of the summer, Doll Park from Colin Self. Oh, I love his artwork so much. I just love his artwork so much. And it's such a jam. I know you were jamming at home. If you were, go to the website, go to his Bandcamp, go to the links at his Instagram account. All of these links you'll find below, as well as links to find the other artists and the stuff that we've talked about inside of this episode. That's where you'll find all of the good stuff. Support everything that you have dug tonight. And not least, of course, our guest, Michael, and our other guest, actually, Harper, an OG Dirty Girl from the Dirty Girls documentary directed by Michael. We have spent all night with you, and it's so good. And one last thing that I wanted to get to, Michael, before we get too far into the night, was this book that you've written.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
Wait,
Thank you.
I'm
surprised. I'm in a new room. Surprise, everyone.
Yeah.
Change. And I also forgot to bring my book into this new room. So
it's okay.
Oh,
I'll
go get the book, Harper. We were just gushing about everything that we really identified with each other. Oh, did they disappear again?
I think he went to get the book.
Okay, sorry. I kind of
you demanded, and I think he's gonna do it.
I didn't mean to be demanding.
Oh no, maybe that was too aggressive of a word, but
we're so sensitive here.
Isn't
know,
it funny? It's nice.
Hanging out with you, it's like two people just apologizing to each other all night. You know,
I was like, "Are you
sorry.
Sure you understand what I mean? I didn't mean that."
Well, I'm sorry. Do you like some bread?
Oh, that was a good Canadian accent.
Do you love Degrassi Junior High as much as we do?
Harper, do you know Degrassi?
The wit Degrassi?
Degrassi, are you familiar with the TV show Degrassi? The Canadian.
No. It's like a teenage melodrama. And in the same way that like I was kind of obsessed with Dirty Girls, it's all part of my obsession with like high school melodrama, after school special type of things. Like I'm really into those in general. Degrassi Junior High, I highly recommend it.
Oh, it's the best.
It's everything that you experienced except on
Canadian.
100. Yeah, Canadian and on 100.
Oh, Canadian.
You know?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. It's like
so lots of stories.
There's a lot of stories.
Is this a current series?
Oh, it's
been
not
going
still
on
going
since
on,
the
but
80s.
since the 80s. There's like 4 or 5 generations of it. Yeah, it like went up to like 2019, I want to say. It's prolific.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a special in the works that we're going to try to pull off in the years to come, where we are going to take our show to there is actually like the neighborhood in the school that they shot Degrassi in. It's like a thing that they have
Outside
and
of Toronto.
we want to take the show there and interview some of the most important, Degrassi characters, because man, the things I learned about chlamydia.
Yes. And I, in fact, am a Degrassi fan. I do.
Of course you are.
Of course you are, Michael.
Naturally.
So original, like Degrassi Junior High or
Like
Next Generation. What is your favorite? Well, I mean, if you're a real fan, you love them both. But what's your favorite?
Yes.
I actually like the Next Generation.
Totally. I remember seeing it when I was much younger. I think the original, which had Spike. I think it had
Spike. Yeah, Spike.
Yes.
Who's
made it
the
through
mom
a lot
of
of
Emma.
generations. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, I could write the Wikipedia.
You could. You should. Yeah.
That's
amazing.
a Canadian saying that, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, seriously. Oh, and then when I came back for Next Generation, and then that was my introduction to Drake. Naturally.
Of course.
As like yes, and his.
And he was kind of a piece of shit even in Degrassi.
Yeah, it checks out. Really checks out.
Hey, exact consistency. And,
consistency. At least he's consistent. Yeah.
At least he's consistent. And I always, it's for some reason, like I got really upset when Craig came along in the Next Generation and like kind of stole my name, because he's a real scumbag as well. I mean, he's got problems. His dad beat him up. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
he's
his
also
dad
got a
beat
bit
him
of a problem.
And as we've been talking with Harper,
the show.
like this has been the theme of the show is, hurt people, right?
Right.
Hurt people. Right.
Especially when they're kids, especially when they're teenagers. Like,
so
did you guys watch what was the Nickelodeon show with Alanis Morissette? You Can't Do That on Television.
Oh yes.
Huge influence, right?
Totally. Oh, complete. Oh, huge influence. I mean, the sketch comedy.
Huge influence.
Sketch comedy.
Yeah. Oh, Barf. Yeah. He had the restaurant, the diner, and his name was Barf.
Absolutely.
Oh my God. Yes. No, that was huge in my life. And all the name. Oh gosh. Of course. Now I forgot them. Christine, and I remember all those teens on the show. I loved. And then 15 was another one I loved, which might have been Canadian or had Ryan Reynolds. That was Ryan Reynolds.
Clarissa Explains It All.
Clarissa Explains It All.
Oh my God.
I was very
my God. I wanted a friend that would crawl through my window so
Climb
bad.
through my window so bad. Yeah.
I wanted that type of friendship, You had a sister who is also like iconic, Amber from Dirty Girls, So wait, you are the oldest or the youngest?
I'm the oldest one, yeah.
You're the oldest one. Okay. I couldn't tell, honestly. You guys both look fantastic.
Everyone's always thought they're 12 and 13. I mean, my whole life. Yeah. We're used to it.
But so you guys were in it together. Now, how did you guys end up in the same? You guys were how far apart were you?
We're only 18 months apart.
Oh.
Whoa. Cool.
Yeah.
So then this is like your twin, like your best friend.
Yeah, we were best friends. We had the same crew. We were always in school together, 1 year apart.
Wow.
So
that's really cool.
Yeah. She was a bit of the ringleader of the Dirty Girls in her grade. I was one grade above her.
And you passed like the torch on to you. You were the powerhouse, but you were obviously the influence, right?
She says that. I don't know. It happened exactly at the same time, simultaneously.
Yeah.
We did it together. We're just a year apart. And we took it on very differently. Like even today, she'll look back at the documentary and she's like, God, Harp, I'm so impressed. You're eloquent. Like you're speaking the truth over here, and I'm just cracking jokes with a boa. And I mean, yeah, she's the comedian, and she's the one who's like gonna be more out there, and it comes across that way in the documentary, and that's how our personalities are as well in a lot of ways. I mean, not thoroughly, but in many ways. Yeah.
That's very cool. Yeah, I was always very impressed with people more like you, because I think that I was a little bit more like Amber, where I acted out,
Yeah.
And I remember like starting school each year and trying to like hold my breath at the beginning of the year and be like, don't act out, just be cool. Just be cool and smart and collected. But like I would like I gotta do something, I gotta do something outrageous. So respect to you for like keeping it cool, because the cool people were really like the brains behind the operation. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
They kept it civil.
There's a little bit of that. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
I think that both are necessary, though. I think,
Of course, I mean, of course,
yeah,
maybe, yeah. If we
I
were
mean,
all cool,
especially when I
guess.
watch it, I mean, I feel a little jealous. Like I wish I had that kind of camaraderie with my sister, and it feels like a yin and yang, that like you like
It is.
both sort of like filled out what the other couldn't, or at least that's what it looked like.
I mean,
watching.
100%. Like, I watched the video and I watched her cracking jokes on the podium with the boa, and I'm like, you're fucking awesome. I wish I could be like that, right? It's just, that's how it goes. We do kind of balance each other in that way.
We need every kind of person.
So, Michael, to get back to what we were talking about, you wrote a book.
Oh yes, I'm glad I got that. I got a moment to run off and grab.
Yes, please. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be so demanding.
Oh, not at all.
It just falls out like that.
Oh yeah, no worries at all. No, I appreciate the having my plug moment to plug my book. It's Tinseltown Trouble.
Yes.
And Tinseltown Trouble. This is it's a book of 7 of my pilots. Oh, because that's sort of become actually during the COVID era became my new creative outlet. I think especially, which is funny. Maybe being so isolated from other people really made me turn inward and focus on writing. And I wrote these 7, they're kind of dark comedy thriller pilots. And there's a running theme, which wasn't intentional, but ends up becoming kind of a through line throughout the book. Is each of these 7 pilots is about a different struggling actress in LA having a terrifying misadventure. And so it's 7 different actresses and 7 different misadventures that they pursue their dreams. And
I love it.
I love that.
I love it.
Thank you.
Why is LA so mysterious?
The noir. It's such a film noir city,
It is. That's the best of it, right? Is when it rings that like black and white, rainy, foggy. I don't know. Yeah, it's very LA. It's very LA.
Totally. Yes, totally. And even when it's sunny, it's like there's something kind of sinister and there's something in the shadows. What I love David Lynch, and Mulholland Drive is one of my favorite films.
God.
That's so that sunny, the cheerfulness, the palm trees and the blue skies, but then there's something sinister, sort of.
I think Mulholland Drive. I think Mulholland Drive is the best love story ever made.
Between the 2 women.
Yeah,
Yes.
because it shows that it's like real love. I feel like it's a depiction of unconditionality.
But they were so bound, the 2 of them,
Intertwined.
Yes.
And each one gets theirs in the end, in a different way. Like perfectly fit for like these, as Harper was speaking about before, like these self-imposed plights, like and consequences thereof, right? Like living inside of it and perpetuating it. And I guess what makes Mulholland Drive so beautiful is that love is always worth it.
I love that. Yeah.
Even if it's painful, even if it's the worst, it's worth it. The up is so good.
Yeah. And it transcends, time and space, and
And it is very like it's so fucking LA. It's so fucking hilarious.
Yes, that's what's totally yes.
We played. We got kicked off of YouTube because we played one of his. We played a scene to remember him by. The clip from Twin Peaks where he orders apple pie and he can hear her, and when we came back, they kicked us off, but we didn't know that we were still streaming, and because it looked to us like it had killed the stream, but it had not killed the stream. And when it finished the video, I was bawling. I was like tears rolling down my face. I've been going through a lot lately, but that hit me very, very hard because it's so beautiful and romantic.
It's really not our show unless somebody cries.
That's kind of true. That's kind of true.
Yeah.
And it was just like crying in front of and talking to Chris, like, "Oh, it's so beautiful," and I had no idea I was on the air. Anyway,
that's so. It was so real. It was just real. It was just a real moment.
Fucking real, man. It's fucking real. Did you watch Twin Peaks in the 90s?
Yes. Oh my goodness,
Yes,
I was
100%.
obsessed.
Okay, there's another subculture kid thing. I had a friend, Brent. I won't. I always just feel like naming people, and then I'm like, these people have kids. I can't do that shit. One of my best friends, a great guy, and he had the full set of Twin Peaks on VHS. And so when we were over at his house skateboarding or whatever, it was just on that's all we were playing, Twin Peaks all the time. Isn't that weird? Skaters, and then in the background, Twin Peaks. You watched it while it aired?
I watched it as it aired with my mom.
So did I, Harper. So did I.
Did
That's
you?
amazing.
You did too,
Yeah.
Michael?
Oh yeah.
Your mom is cool. My dad wouldn't put up with it.
Oh,
did you talk
David Lynch
about it
was her
with your
favorite.
parents?
Oh, I mean, I just remember watching with her.
Okay.
Falling in love with it. I remember talking to my teachers about it. Like, maybe
so
they were
cool.
impressed that I was watching it, but yeah, I remember going to school and being like, "Did you watch the last episode?"
And were your teachers
we were obsessed.
open to was that a thing you could talk to them about? That's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
And can you believe that
we were
people fucking that was on TV Guide? People were watching that.
I mean, thinking back, I was little. I was young. What year was
It is
that?
insane. It is wild, and it is dark as fuck. It's dark as fuck.
It is.
Speaking about what we were talking about, sexual assault and it being so prevalent, wow, that went right over my head. But try to watch Fire Walk with me right now. It's like, Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. It's always so horrific and
Wait, sorry. Can I ask a question? Because this just reminds me of, did any of you read Flowers in the Attic?
I loved the movie, and I remember watching it in the 80s, the movie.
Okay, it's the same kind of thing where I can't believe I was allowed to read that when I was 12. And I tried to bring it as a book report to a class in grade 8, and my teacher was like, "I will not let you talk about this in front of the class." For those who don't know, Flowers in the Attic, it's a V.C. Andrews. It's supposed to be for teens. I don't understand how. Series of essentially about incest and sexual abuse and wealth and abusing children, which I connected to for obvious. For obvious reasons to me as a 12-year-old, but it feels sort of like Twin Peaks, whereas I can't believe that I could just read that and it was supported and no one was watching me. No one was checking in on this shit I was reading. Yeah.
Right. Oh my
How
gosh,
did
that
it
resonates.
affect
I remember
you to be reading it. How did it process for you?
Honestly, it helped me. It was I think that's why I was obsessed with it at 12 or 13, because it was the first time I was reading something that felt like it was speaking to the reality I was living, where I was being told I was living something differently, So it was the first time I was like, oh my God, this feels relatable and a thing I'm experiencing, and when no one around me or my family was, talking about how deeply fucked up everything was, you know? So yeah, I feel like in a lot of ways it like kind of got me through my tween years. And still, like, you know, my mom knew I was reading, like there were a lot of clues that I was going through some shit, you know? And even the teacher that was like, I'm not letting you do this book report, like maybe she could have asked me if I was okay. That would have been really nice because I clearly wasn't, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's actually probably then it was a blessing that you got to read it.
It really was. No, you're not wrong. It totally was. And yeah, again, I think with that, I think, yeah, the biggest thing is like I think the most painful thing is that like no one noticed that I was drawn to that kind of stuff, you know, that like, you know, there were a lot of clues around me that I was, you know, things that I was like watching and participating in that like the adults in my life should have picked up on. But yeah, thank God for that book, even though it was like,
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
Sorry, I had to run away for a second, and also I couldn't read because ADHD, you know.
Yes, I know.
Yes, we know.
I didn't know. I didn't know until I was 40, or you know, like
we just discovered this together.
Yeah. I'm gonna keep on using that excuse over and over and over again throughout the night.
But wait, what did we learn from Chris? It's not an excuse, it's an explanation.
That's what I'm going to say to them next time they say, Greg, you can't just keep on using that as an excuse. Thank you, Chris.
It's an explanation.
Well, this has just been wonderful. I know that we have a bunch of people waiting on the line. I'm just kidding. So Harper, I think that we're going to have to let you go with our last 30 minutes left in the show. We have to get to some other calls, but really, and I know I'm putting you on the spot, so we'll reach out later, but I hope that this isn't the last time that you're on our show. I really would like to have you on as a special guest. I would like to get to know you. I would like to see some of your artwork. I would like to feature whatever it is you're doing.
Yeah, and support whatever you're doing too.
And when you guys get this Dirty Girls project going, we are Dirty Girls here at midnight across America. We are Dirty Girls. You are Dirty Girls too.
Yes.
So please let us be involved. We want to be on the press tour.
I'm excited. Thank you very, very much. It's been such a pleasure. Michael, thank you for including me. I really love talking with everybody in such a alignment and collaboration over competition.
Hell yeah.
I love it. I love that.
Yeah.
We will be in contact.
Thank you so much.
You are a hero amongst us weirdos and thieves and creatures of the night here at our show. And thank you so much.
Thanks, Harper.
And Michael, thank you. Do you want to take another call with us, or
do we have another call?
We've got all kinds of calls I've heard lined up on the line. Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Sure.
That's what I'm hearing. Yeah.
I love you, Harper. That was so amazing. Amazing.
All right. So Chris, just let me know with a little we're ready for you when we've got that other call lined up. Wow, really like meeting a hero, Mallory and Michael.
And
really
I mean,
like
Michael facilitating this. Again, this is like a dream come true. It's really.
It's
I'm so glad that was such a special experience. I'm so glad. Yeah, we got to hear talk with Harper, and she's so amazing, and she and Amber are such incredible people. And
what is it about like these worldly flames that moths like us are somehow attracted to? You know, and we just keep on flocking, and we always find each other, you know, in a crowd. You wouldn't believe the story that I'm going through right now in my life that I don't care to share quite yet, but like the connection abound is insane, Michael.
We find each other.
Wow.
We find each other on other parts of the world, you know, and the world is actually very small, and we find each other in little communities like this. How do these listeners, you know, find us? How do you find us? Give us a call. Let us know how you find us. I don't know how you find us, but somehow
with the thumbs up.
It's a little obnoxious. It was fun, but now it's a little obnoxious. I really believe strongly in like this element. We keep on coming back to it. Community. And what are these conduits of community? Liquid TV, NYU video station, late night call show, you know, the community that was a part. I never was part of it. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I had a friend whose dad was listening to Coast AM differently, you know, than we were, like very differently than we were, very, very foil hat. That being said, I was a little jealous of the community in a way that I wasn't jealous about the community that was religiosity or something like this. This seemed more fun and a little bit more on the fringe, you know, and in the middle of the night. These characters you listen to this radio show, they're calling in from Germany. They're calling in from fucking Taiwan. They're calling in from all over the world, and they mark their schedules every single night because they got to get on there. They got to hear somebody's ghost story. They got to tell their bullshit UFO story about how they were raped. They need the audience. They fucking need the audience. What is it?
Yeah, no, yeah, and I'm so glad.
Did I get up on a soapbox again?
No.
Okay.
Go ahead, Michael.
Oh yeah, no, I'm glad that Coast to Coast came. That's such a cool, strange, wonderful thing that I'm so glad exists. And yeah.
Okay, well, here's Michael. I'm sorry. I had the producer in my ear. I think that we have a call lined up, but I wanted to play another video while we get that call lined up. And I think, oh wow, this is who I want to play. Let me tell you a funny story. I was sitting in the bath, listening to music as I do. And sometimes I take too long of baths. I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I take too long of baths. And I was filling it up for like the third time again, or refreshing the heat for the third time again. And I had lost track of like the playlist, and it jumped. My algorithm on YouTube jumped to this this artist, Dagmar Zuna. And I'm telling you, the most incredible music. And I, from the bathtub, looked up the record label and any way to get into contact with anybody. And from the bathtub, I wrote an email to the record label directly. This is awesome. I like this is exactly the type of thing that I love. This is so beautiful. What can I do to help? I have a talk show and I would love to feature your artists. And they wrote back and they were like, yeah, chill. Awesome. And so I hope that this is the very first of a beautiful curation of artists and music that I found through the People's Coalition of Tandy. The People's Coalition of Tandy. And this is Dagmar Zuna. And this song is Why I Remember Each Day of Summer.
Day
So, wasn't that beautiful? And welcome back to Midnight Across America. I'm Craig with my co-host, the wonderful Mallory Jane, and we are here in our last hour. God, it goes so quickly with Michael Lucid, the amazing, the phenomenal, and really the inspiring director of Dirty Girls, amongst many of his other talents, including his book that is out on Amazon. Again, what is the title of this book?
Tinseltown Trouble.
Thank you. Yes, thank you so much. Yes. This is my big plug moment. This is my I love having my yes. This is my QVC moment where I plug my
hell yeah
my wares. And yes, Trouble. Yes, 400 pages of suspense and comedy and actress heroines forging their way and having terrifying misadventures. And you can get this on Amazon. If you just type in Tinseltown Trouble and my name, Michael Lucid, hopefully it will come right up. And yes, this can
Well,
be
I know
known.
that the only things that are interesting around Tinseltown are the things that'll get you into trouble. See,
Every
we'll
time.
also put everything in like descriptions. Links will be everywhere.
Of
in
course.
our descriptions and stuff. Yeah, yeah.
Of course. Well, Michael, in our last moments of the show, we have another caller on the line. Caller, welcome to the show. I hope you hear me. What's your name?
I can
Where
hear
calling
you.
From?
Hi, this is Zenzi. How's it going?
Zenzi. And where are you calling in from tonight, Zenzi?
I'm calling from Berlin in the morning, and I'm not a morning person, so forgive me if I'm a little slow.
Well, we appreciate you making the time for us, and we love international listeners. And Zenzi, one of our favorite people. And if you haven't already, please go see the show that Zenzi was our special guest on. Zenzi, of course, is the phenomenal director of many music videos, and we were highlighting her most recent film called Tears, and it is absolutely incredible. Please look into it, check it out. And Zenzi, what do we have the honor of receiving your call this evening?
Well, hi guys. Hi Michael. I wanted to just say congratulations. I really love your piece. I've actually been moving in the last years, moving out of music videos and into documentaries. And I love celebrating the sisterhood with where I focus my attention. The sisterhood and queerness or otherness. And so, yeah, I'm touched by your piece. And I guess just wanted to say thank you. I feel very seen. I wasn't part of that scene as a youth, because I was a very buttoned up goody two shoes who wanted to be a diplomat. I became a dirty girl later in life, but I really love the movie.
Ooh,
so
Arrested Development dirty. That's kind of hot. That is kind of hot. Working out the dirtiness later on in life. That's I totally see that as true. It's funny, when we first met, Zenzi, we really identified as well with this generational specificity of our ideas and our culture, and how independently uninterested anybody around our very specific generation was with that, right?
Correct. Yeah, and Michael, I do have a question, and I apologize if you already answered this, but it is the morning in Berlin, and I've been snoozing, and I haven't been as in tune with the show as I would have liked to, but blah, blah, blah. What, as a male voice. Now I don't even know what your identification is at this moment in time or was. So I apologize if I'm misrepresenting you. But what made you in tune with the ladies, your peers that were ladies, to the degree that you could see this story and tell it as you did?
Oh wow.
Oh, I love that
Great
question.
Yeah.
And also thank you so much. I'm so glad you enjoyed the film and that it resonated with you. I love hearing that. That's amazing. And yes, and we all come to the Dirty Girl ethos at, whatever time in our lives, that is right. So I love that. Yes. And
well put.
Oh,
yeah, when the stars aligned for our Dirty Girl voices and spirits to speak forth. And yeah, it's so funny. I was an admirer of the Dirty Girls. I was admiring them. I was a senior and they were so much younger than I was, but I was a fan of theirs on campus. And, I was coming from, I was this gay kid, I was consuming culture and pop culture. I was really into John Waters and Gregor Rocky movies.
Same. Crybaby changed my life.
Wait,
oh my God.
Wait, pause, because Michael, you shared with us this short Lobster Tits that you starred in.
Yes.
Everybody check that out. It is very John Waters. It is amazing.
Oh, cute.
Yeah, so
I
check.
love
Sorry,
John
I didn't mean to
Waters.
interrupt, but
I got to have a long
Everybody check out
conversation with
Lobster
him
Tits.
not that long ago when I was pregnant. And he was telling me how he doesn't, how he hates whimsy. Like he hates it.
I love him so much.
And anyways, Michael, please continue. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Excited about John Waters.
Oh yeah, Don was. Oh my gosh, he is such an incredible mind and person, and totally inspired the short film Lobster Tits. And my friend Jess Guerra directed that, and she's amazing. And yeah, we're both obsessed with John Waters. And and just that spirit of Pink Flamingos and
oh my God, oh my God,
just these
some of those VHSs that I got when I worked at Blockbuster. And I was able to order videos that we didn't have in stock, and and then I would get something like that, and I'd be like, "Oh, I'm fucked. I'm gonna get fired for this shit. I can't believe I got this in the store," But iconic, changed my life. And had I not been in that position and get introduced, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, completely. No, completely. It's such a and it's funny, the more I think about it, and especially movies like Pink Flamingos, I think, which were capturing that Dirty Girls spirit. It was before, it was, in the early 70s, maybe, when that film was.
I think it was like 69 when he started. I don't know. My fandom is off on John Waters right now, but it was pretty early. God, when she eats shit and
totally. Oh my gosh. I mean, talk about pranksters, just
oh my God,
completely. And I was coming from that, and it's funny because in Dirty Girls, the only person in the whole documentary who actually is kind of in sync with the Dirty Girls is the one boy who says, "Oh, I think they're brilliant." And
yes,
right.
he reads the Marxism quote. I remember it so clear because he's the only one that reads that around capitalism or so, and he's like, I think they're really smart. Yeah, please continue because I'm so curious.
Wow.
Totally. And Henry it was and is today such an incredible person as well. And I love that he said that, because that was exactly the page I was on. They're brilliant. These are, I was in awe of these kids who were so much younger than I was, who were so self-realized already. And so I was an admirer of theirs. And that's kind of what inspired me to document them. And sort of the impetus for filming that footage was the documentary footage was I was part of this after school program called LA Links that was on our campus, and they asked me to document something at my school. This is so funny. In our last 15 minutes of the show, I'm gonna take a deep dive into this kind of crazy aspect of the backstory of Dirty Girls, which is that
Love
you
it.
know, which kind of puts it in the context of LA in the 90s, which is it's like after the LA riots, and the city was still trying to like figure itself out, and everyone was really shaken by that, and people felt so divided. And this video artist Wendy Clark, actually her mom Shirley Clark, is this really incredible documentary filmmaker from like 1960s New York, and made some really incredible films in that era. And her daughter Wendy is now an incredible, still today, incredible video artist. And she came up with this LA Links idea where kids from this privileged school in West LA, Crossroads, were going to communicate via this brand new technology called the internet in 1996 with a group in Leimert Park, which is mostly like a BIPOC, kind of more blue collar, and also a very like an arts community part of LA. So we were going to communicate between Crossroads and Leimert Park on the internet and learn about each other as part of this kind of symbolic healing of LA.
Wow.
And it worked perfectly.
And it worked
Yeah,
perfectly.
I'm sure it solved
Except
everything.
One problem was that the internet was like, we were literally still like learning what the internet was in like 1996. Like we were like, what are websites? What is that? And the technology was really spotty, and the audio would never work.
Yeah, it took me literally 8.5 hours to download a picture of Pearl Jam.
Right. No, totally. Exactly. It would like slowly.
Yeah.
Completely. That, it was that dial-up modem era of internet. It was a different time. And we could never get it to work. So our LA Links club at Crossroads, we would sit there unable to actually do the thing we were supposed to do, which was, so what they did was, what Wendy, the video artist, decided to do was just give us video cameras. And she said, just document things in your lives that you can, at least we can show them the footage later. Or I ended up being able to show them like without audio. We were able to at least show them on our very, patchwork internet system, just the silent footage of the Dirty Girls raw footage. And so my motivation for filming the Dirty Girls was to show the other group for this after school program. And that's the only reason I filmed it.
That's some like layers on layers there, like the ostracized group within your privileged school, like filming that to show kids at, in a whole other, like living in a whole other culture world.
Like kids.
Wow.
We don't ostracize you. We ostracize ourselves too.
Totally.
Everybody's ostracized, babe.
Completely.
Yeah. Weird.
Did you receive videos from them too?
We did. And now I'm trying to remember it was so funny because the other thing was that the video would get really pixelated because it was such just the video, the cords and the wires couldn't even handle all the media. And so Wendy, who's, a video artist, we basically ended up, she sort of was somehow able to manipulate it. So we were showing each other this like pixelated video art. That's
so
what we could,
cool.
Which was super. It was very cool. It was very
so cool.
Wow.
Do you still have any of that stuff?
Wow.
You know what? Probably. I think, now and then a weird funny thing was like the summer after I graduated high school, Wendy, I like digitized the footage and like was logging the footage. So I got to like see all of it again. So those tapes are somewhere.
I have to. I would love to feature them on our
and like
show.
Find somebody from the other school too,
Yeah, wouldn't that be interesting?
Yes, completely. And the irony is, at the end of the school year, we finally got to meet. The two groups got to meet. We met for lunch in person, and it was incredible. And we totally got along great.
That's
and it was
so
this
cool.
lovely. It was such a fun thing. It was.
Oh, I'm so glad that we got to this part, like to how this started. It feels so.
Well, what I was gonna say earlier is that it's like it is the original queer alliance, in my opinion, like gay boy, like, you know, weird girl, dirty girl, scruffy girl, whatever you want to call it. I feel like it is the original.
How come that duo
alliance.
is so natural? Why?
Because of the patriarchy.
I think. Well, I just had my own kind of like meeting of the worlds with that type of bond. I started collaborating with Joseph, this artist named Joseph Awadarko, who was a famous like little queer amazing painter boy. I don't know much about his history. I just know that he started doing like these little self-helpisms for artists called Dear Artists, which enchanted me, and are very full circle, because the reason I love self-help so much is because I've weathered like an enormous like existential crisis and sort of had to rebuild myself from the point where I believe like most normal weirdos would have probably just killed themselves. And now Joseph has scheduled his own suicide, and he has this project called the Last Supper Project, wherein he's having meals with 180 strangers before he does legal euthanasia in the Netherlands. And it's just been like this like iconic gay boy, dirty girl bond, where I've never felt like more seen or valued in like such a short time. And there's something profound about, you know, like the lack of sexual tension, I guess, in the
That's what it is, because nobody's trying to fuck each other. That's what it is. There's the alliance, because when you start like objectifying somebody into their sexual role, and like I don't make me get like Lilithian on you, but like when you're demanded to be in a position of bottomed, when you are demanded to be bottomed by me, the boss, right? That it like the whole system is built on that, right? And when you stop trying to bottom somebody, imagine what you hear. Imagine what you hear. Imagine what you hear that has fallen out of your mouth before, right? And how embarrassing that is.
And then this like plays into the punk thing too. It's very punk, but like if life has othered you to the point where like you're not fully on this plane anyways, it's like it's a whole nother level of connection. It's not just but yes, I agree with that too. But it's a beautiful point. But there's all these different layers of like
it's like who you know and what you're willing to hang out with. Okay, so like the easy thing is of course like if you meet the dirty girls, it's hard to hate them. If you meet them and you talk to them, you're not going to tell them that they're fucking trite like fake feminists to their face, but because they're earnest in their beliefs, right? You know, I think that I was uniquely aligned with girls. I was a pussy. I didn't like to play sports. I was bad at it. My best friends were girls. So however that started itself out, I was hanging out with them. So why all of the guys were off like kicking balls and beating each other up and talking about how they wanted to whatever they wanted to do with girls. I don't know. I wasn't privy to that talk, but I was certainly privy to being around my friends who caught wind of some of the things that they heard and seeing the reaction and how it made them feel. And how like it wasn't a joke to them. It made them feel terrible, and they were terrified to say anything. So like they got it out with their friends, you know, the friends in the bedrooms at night, and cried about it, but then they went to school the next day and let them talk to them like that. This is a cycle, right? And unless you see it, how in a way, and it's indefensible, but in a way, it's like you guys didn't have any hope anyway. Like you didn't have a chance. Of course, you're reacting like this. You're protecting yourself as well. Just like Harper was saying, like there's great empathy for you. You'll never have it figured out. You'll never figure it out.
Well, I don't know if that's
agree.
Not you, Zenzi, obviously.
No, but I also don't know if that's the point, that they'll never figure it out. I mean, I think what I was hearing Harper more was the like we are all hurt by the system, that it's
we're all hurt by it. Yes, you're right.
Because I mean, I think maybe, I don't know, some people might think I'm like too generous sometimes, but I like refuse to not see the humanity in everybody. And like I refuse to give up sometimes, some people I have to give up on.
Even when they don't recognize your grace. Even when they don't recognize your grace.
But
it's not,
hurts
but
me.
Craig, it's not all about us.
Sure.
Like it's not all about
exactly.
Like, it's whether they can recognize like their own grace and like like the position. I think that's maybe like what Mallory's getting at.
Totally,
it's like, you don't have to see
you're
me.
right. You're totally
it's more like, can you see yourself? Yeah.
Well, and like didn't Harper say, Michael, earlier that like after Michael, you like screened this at the school that people apologized.
Yeah. Incredible.
Yes.
Like Michael, please say more about that. Like again, that's the world I want to live in, instead of this like they're all lost because they're hurting people.
I stand corrected. I'm still a little vindictive, apparently.
It's okay.
But let's get on with the good stuff.
No, this
Can
is
we
great.
change the world?
No, this is great. This is great.
It is.
Yeah.
It really
and Michael,
is.
yeah, please.
Yeah,
I would love to.
Please. And
this would be a great
please.
note to end on. Yeah.
Totally. And I love that you asked me that, because it does bring things really full circle, because the two girls I specifically remember apologizing to, Harper and Amber, were the girls saying that the zine was dime store feminism. And I love that you were mentioning that, we were talking about that scene earlier, because they were the girls that it really clicked for them when they saw this like big epic version I made. It clicked for them and they felt so bad. And I got to witness them apologizing, and it was a beautiful moment.
Like
a really
that gives me chills. Like that is why I'm still here. That's why I'm still trying to stay alive and do this show. Like literally, that is why, I do think that the outcast, we need a space, and also like nothing's gonna change if we don't try and reach out to the people who are like also victims of this fucked up thing, who end up hurting people, and that like
and we're adults. I'm not afraid of anybody anymore. You can't scare me. I'm already on the outside. I've been here for years. You can't intimidate me. You can't push me out. And we're here. So like, who better than us, especially in our reflection of the things that we've been through and why your movie resonates so much, I think, because we get to see ourselves. We get to see ourselves in a way that we forgot. We coped, and we forgot what it was like. We forgot. And these are the purest moments where we figured it all out. Whether just like we figured it out, that dime store feminist, quote unquote, woman, young woman, she figured it out too.
And that's where we see ourselves too. I think this is the important thing, that like, as even those of us who identify as outcasts, queer, weirdos, freaks, that we are also always capable of being on the other side and doing harm. And I think like that's what Dirty Girls, that when I watch it, I see in myself both the Dirty Girls and the ways that I have upheld the harmful systems. And like, I think the worst thing that those of us who identify as like queer and weirdos and freaks can do is think that we are exempt from causing harm.
Totally. And it's so true, because at the end of the day, like those girls were more, so much more like the Dirty Girls than unlike them, and I think it's so interesting. Even when they're reading the zine, it's almost like you can see the wheels turning, and as they're making fun of it, they kind of slow down their speech because they're like, "Oh, actually, this is amazing," and I can't say that yet, but I'm starting to realize.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so cool. So cool.
I'm here with Dirty Girl number 1, Olive, my 5-year-old who has never brushed her hair in her whole life.
Olive, a future Dirty Girl indeed.
Can you say hi, bud? She wants you to know that she does brush her hair. I was just trying to make a fun.
It's fine if she doesn't. Not judging.
We liked it. We liked your hair.
We do love you, Olive, and thank you for listening. We are rounding out the last midnight. Hey, Olive. Hey.
Thank you.
Wait, I'm going to stop time.
Michael. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to hang up because I don't know what these international rates are.
Zenzi,
and I'm still on my
I love you. Safe travels
Uh-huh.
back home. Love to David, who I know has an art show coming up in March. We'll be talking more about that. You guys have to see that if you're in the Los Angeles area. And Olive.
March 15th.
Auf Wiedersehen, tschüss, as they say in Old Berlin.
Bye.
And
bye, Zenzi.
Bye, Zenzi.
Bye, Zenzi. Bye, Olive.
And Michael. We have come to the end of the road, at least in this encounter. But I am telling you, my friend, I really hope that this isn't the last. We want to know all about you. You've got a plethora of material for us to get to, and we're just so well aligned.
Yeah, absolutely. We are so simpatico. I love it. Yes.
It really feels like it was just time separating us, and now we're together, and you and
wait, before we let Michael go, I just want to make sure that
please.
Michael, like, is there anything else you want to shout out? Like, make sure that we've because you've been so generous with your time. You stayed with us the whole 3 hours. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. And I told you guys before the show started, I was like, I don't know if I can last, but I
feel that way before every show.
That's so funny. Yeah, and then it starts and it's like, I'm like, endorphins and it's lovely. It's a beautiful thing. And I guess I'll give a shout out to another YouTube web series I'm part of, Dumpster Queens. Talk about dirty girls. This is the 3 gay boys sitting next to a dumpster on a blanket, and we made all these videos.
Been there.
It's a lifestyle, it's an experience. So Dumpster Queens, thank you. Yes,
Dumpster Queens.
And I would love for you all to see that. And this is such a and I wrote a vampire horror movie, and you can see it on Tubi.
Oh my god, I watched the trailer. I can't wait to watch it.
It's really good.
So excited for you to see that. It's called You Shouldn't Have Let Me In.
Which
it's for free on Tubi.
Such a good title.
Oh, thank you.
So I'm obsessed with vampire movies.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, I love it.
Honestly, that's what I've been telling all my exes, and it must be the way that I'm saying it. So maybe I can learn a little bit.
Right? Yeah, they're like, how do I do this? Yes, you shouldn't have let me in.
You shouldn't have let me in.
Love for you to see it. There's a gay boy in it. I was so proud because the company that hired me to write it, I was like, I want to get a gay boy in and it's also about talking about like dirty girls and friendships with queer people, because it's a gay boy and his best friend, the main female protagonist, and the two of them having this whole experience. So it's thematically in keeping with
full circle.
Full circle.
Well then, Michael, thank you so much, and we look forward to the next time seeing you. Hopefully it's very, very soon, and we are going to keep up to speed. Of course, audience at home, if you loved everything as much as we did, check out Michael's work. All of the links will be listed below on Instagram, on YouTube, everything else. We've got it. We're going to put it down there, and you've got to become a big fan. The book is in the description as well. It's on Amazon, and this is you're gonna want to know a lot about Michael for the next return, so you can call, and you'll have a lot of questions. Also, of course, I want to say, I apologize to all of those people. I know we had a lot of people on the line. there were Harper got on the line, and
we
it's
had
hard
to
to
talk
let
to
Harper go. Yeah, Harper is my hero.
Thank
and
you, Harper.
Thank you, Harper. Thank you, Zenzi. And can we all be a little bit more like them? Harper, you're my hero. I think we all need to light a candle for Harper tonight. Even, they say don't meet your heroes. Fuck that shit, because I feel like I'm so inspired by Harper and wow, like everything that the way that they speak about their artwork, the way that they speak about culture, the way that they speak about how they're moving inside of culture, and you, Michael, for being the exact same type of person and able to bring them out and expose them to the world. It's conduits like you, my friend, and it's heroes like you, Harper, that make the world worth living. And I hope you, as our audience, believe the exact same thing. I know I do. Anything else, Mallory?
Thanks to you, Craig. And also Brody, our graphics person, and Pippa on the phones, and producer Chris,
who did a fantastic show tonight. Chris, you are so fucking amazing.
So amazing.
So amazing. So I guess that's it.
I think that's
it. Thank you so much. Yeah, we love you. We love you. We love you so much. And Chris, go ahead and roll those credits.